We're going to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Does anybody want to?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Okay, just a couple of things before we get going. And I already forgot. You have to say our names for the audio. Okay? So Kim Bears, Chair. Remember to say your name when we're going to do roll calls again on any vote so that everyone is clear as to who has said what. Let's see. Oh, I want to congratulate and thank Erin for an amazing job at the budget meeting on Monday night. Great. I don't know if you guys were able to see the video or not. She nailed it, man. It was so good. It's so nice to hear that the other department heads feel the same way, that they'd like to see the library back up to our old budget and working and being able to do the things we want to do, because man, I have some more stats later, but I'll hold you in rapt attention. I'll give them to you. Okay, so we will do public comment, and it's going to be 3 minutes per person, and I have my little thing on, and it's wicked loud, and I'm sorry about that, but I don't know how else to do a phone person. So would anyone like to just come up for public comment today? We have a lot of people here today. I'm going to get nervous and start shaking.
Hello, Megan Donovan, 45 Chase Road. You probably mostly already know me. I'm head of circulation services, but I just wanted to let you know I am here on my own time, representing myself as a private citizen. So what I am speaking to is my thoughts and views. So lately, and going back months, I've been hearing murmurs and rumors, and I just really want to address those tonight and just kind of get them from the facts and see if these are rumors that are true or not. So there have been many instances of people coming up to me, patrons, friends, talking about how the trustees don't support the library staff and Erin in particular. And it's 2 trustees in particular that they name, and I just wanted to know that, and I've even heard that there are 2 trustees here that want to have Erin fired and removed from her position. So, namely, it is Maura Ryan and Christine Fitzgerald, and I just wanted to touch base and have it out in the open, just because rumors are rumors, and I wanted to know if you would be willing to speak to that, to say, is that something that you support Erin in the library staff, or do you want to see a change?
I'll speak to it. That's obviously a rumor. I've never said that. I don't know.
Identify yourself first, please.
What's that?
Just identify yourself.
Oh, Christine Fitzgerald. I never said that. So obviously someone does not like me, and I can name a handful of people, and they're just spreading rumors. It's what they're good at doing. And I support the library and I support its staff. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here as a trustee. But I also support the citizens and the taxpayers of Londonderry.
Absolutely. And as a citizen and taxpayer, I just wanted clarification. And I figure that's the best way to do it, is to come and directly ask. And absolutely. So you support Erin and what the work she does.
I support the law. That's why I'm here as a trustee. So don't believe everything you hear.
Which is why I'm here. I wanted clarification,
That's
and
fine.
Because you hear it from 1 or 2 people, but when you hear it from a lot of people, I just wanted clarification on that.
That's why it's a rumor. It gets spread around.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I'm here. What was that? Okay. And Maura, do you support?
And I would say I just don't give credence to things that I hear that I don't see supporting evidence to, regardless, because I don't figure that's relevant. But regardless of that, every single one of us is a volunteer. I'm sure there are many other things we could be doing on Wednesday night that would be more fun than coming to a meeting. And we're here to give our time, and we're here to support the library.
Right. My specific question was, do you support Aaron in the library staff? That is the question that I'm asking.
Okay, well, I feel that I've answered that question.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Blinsky, 89 Hall Road. I'll get through as many of these as I can because I got a laundry list, as you probably know. At the last meeting, you went into a non-public under 91A. It was listed incorrectly on the sheet, and then you fixed it. And the one you went into was the hiring of any person as a public employee. So I went back and looked. Who are we hiring? What are we hiring for? Because that's what you went into non-public under, hiring a person for employment. So where was the job advertisement? What's the position? And is that what you went in for? Because that's what you went in under. That's number one. You can give me
It's
the...
on the agenda, it was the wrong, it was changed on the other.
Right,
Yeah.
and it was changed to what I just said, hiring a person. So you can give me the answers after so I can get these in. I want to hand you this under the recordings. I had one from Helen, but she's not here tonight. The rest we'll get it as an email. This addresses what I've been bringing up for the 2 months I've been here, and it doesn't seem to be getting addressed. One is the recording, which I can do. We'll leave that at that. It's right in there. Number two is, since they want to start picking on people, I guess, I know there's a couple people in here that have come to me and said, how do I get information as a trustee? I asked for it and I don't get it. I don't understand why they're not getting it. They're trustees. They're entitled to everything. What they're asking for is public record anyway. So they have to do 91As. The 91As aren't answered on time, even if you acknowledge it within 5 days. I brought that up. It's not getting done. I don't understand it. You say that you're trying to make things better. I don't see it in the 2 months I've been here. This is the business end of the library. And quite frankly, I'm going to be blunt. If the chair and the vice chair can't get these simple things done, you're probably the wrong person to be in those positions and should step down. Because this isn't a process you have to go through. You just say they're asking for information, give it to them. How can they do their jobs as trustees if they're not given the proper information? All right?
Madam Chair, can I
Go
speak?
right ahead.
Would you be able to share with me what information has not been given?
Some of it's been given, but not given timely.
Okay, so
I
if
mean-
it's a 91A, to my understanding, we go through the town for the process through 91A?
I know how it works,
Okay.
probably better than any of you. You have 5 days to answer it. Even if that answer is it's going to take 10 days to get the information, you have to answer it. It's
Okay.
not happening in the 5 days.
Okay.
And there is, I know some have gone to Kim, and then I know one went to you, and I think you gave it over the town. It doesn't really matter. You have to answer it in the 5 days. That's the law. And in the law, it says no exceptions. I brought that up multiple times since I've been coming here, and it's not changing.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that, and I'll hit you at the end, because I've got a lot more.
Thank you. Anybody else have public comment? Hello.
Beth Moranco. I wanted to second what Kim had said about the budget meeting. I think you did a remarkable job. I really appreciate the data that Caitlin had brought. And I really encourage everyone to watch that and maybe watch it again because it was very, very beneficial. We do have the support of our community, and I think that's so important to note because this is a community space and everyone benefits from a community space. And I was a little shocked at Maura's comment where you were unable to answer a yes or no question. Can I ask one more time just for clarification so that no one makes assumptions? Do you support the work of Erin Matlin, our director?
I support the library.
Do you support the work that Erin Matlin, our director, is doing?
Is this what you want to go through for public
Yes.
comment? Okay.
So yes or no? It's important because we voted
for people to be up here. Your job is to represent the needs of our library. And if we cannot answer a truthful yes or no question about where our support lies, that is very concerning, because it's almost like you're working against a position you were elected to fill if you cannot say, yes, I support this person, or no, I do not. You can see my point, right?
Yes, I already stated that I support the library.
I'm
No
asking
one
if
here
you
gets
support
paid to be
Erin
here.
Matlin as a
We all
director.
do offer to volunteer and do extra things.
Okay, so we can assume then that that was a no? I'll take that as a no. Thank you.
Any other?
I have a comment. My name is Donna Reinhold. I live on 77 Partington Lane. I have been a member of Londonderry for over 30 years. I've been a member of the library since I could first sign up for a library card. I just want to say on the record how wonderful this new service is, the consortium. I have, ever since it started, I have had 5 books so far that I could not get through the library. I got them faster than the interlibrary loan process. The little slip that comes with it says I've saved over $200. This is just, I would love to go back to get a master's in history. This would be so helpful. Right now I'm just doing it for my own personal thing. I just want to put that on the record. I think it's great. It's great for the future of the library. It's great for our patrons. It's great at saving money. And like I said, I've been had a library card since I believe I was 6, and I just want to say that this library has come in a great direction. Londonderry is a growing town. We have a lot of young families who want to attract a lot of talent, and having services like this is huge. And I want to put it on the record, I think Erin Matlin has done a great job. I'm a little concerned that there are rumors, because rumors do come somewhere, and I'm concerned that there is a member of the board who will not outright answer. And I know that there's libraries are being politicized. Let's not politicize Londonderry's library. This is a gem of the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Maria Barud. I would like to first thank you, everybody, for all your hard work and being here, volunteering your time. I'm really happy with library services and all this stuff. My predecessors were talking about not politicizing, but I think that's what they're engaging in, is politicizing. What I think is this board and the trustees, their job is to support our library, but it's also to care about the taxpayers who found the library. So I'm really happy that all the trustees engage in detailed research and information, making sure that our taxpayers' money is well spent. And I think that's important. And we need to support all our trustees, our board, and everybody, and stop playing the politics, because that's why we're here. Now this is turning into pointing fingers. It's unnecessary. I didn't see any of these people volunteering for any events and helping library and helping trustees. So I think we should just, as a residents of Londonderry, support the library, support our volunteers, support our trustees, and make sure the library is run well, and that with our taxpayers' money in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Erica Lowy, 18 Lancaster Drive. For a couple of things, I wanted to echo some of the praise I've been hearing from others tonight about what the library has done over the last few years, particularly in the last 3 years. When we moved to town 5 years ago, my kids were 2 and 4. They are now mid to late elementary school, and the difference in programming, the difference in options and resources available to them over the last 5 years, especially what we've seen in the last few, has been incredible. I said this in the town meeting on Monday night, and I wanted to reiterate it to you all, that I really appreciate what you and Erin and all the staff of the library have done for our community and for our kids, and I'd really like it to keep going in this direction, and I appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to address with the rumors and all that's been flying around is that, I think the reason that people come and speak at things like this and people volunteer to be trustees and stuff is because we all care so much about this public resource. And it's something that's important to all of us, and we all recognize how much it matters. And it's frightening to consider when we're in a broader political environment, not just in Londonderry, but in the country and in the world, where nobody is feeling secure and comfortable right now. Everybody is worried, regardless of where they are on the political spectrum. Everybody is worried that they're going to lose something, that somebody's going to get hurt, that something that is treasured and important to them is going to go away. We are all anxious about it right now, and that's just a fact. And when we hear rumors, regardless of where they come from, regardless of how true or not true they are, that undermines everybody's trust in the ability of a group of people to do the mission that they've been entrusted to do. I heard it, we all heard it, we all know it's correct. You were voted into this position because we wanted you, whether we voted for you or we voted for somebody else, you got elected to this position because people hoped that you would continue to safeguard our library and our resources. And we are all here tonight because we trust that you will do that and that you'll hear us and hear that we're all rooting for the library because we all care about it. And we are all here tonight, you are all here tonight because you care about it too. So when we come to you, when we bring these concerns to you, it's easy to see it as an attack and easy to see it as pointing fingers and blaming, but I think a more productive interpretation of that would be we all care about the same thing and we are all worried about the possibility of things not going well for our community and us losing something that we all care about very much. So please hear everything we're saying in that spirit, and please take it in that spirit. Whether it's whoever's saying it, that this is something all of us want, all of us care about, and all of us treasure. So please, we all want to work together for that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Can I?
I just want to address the comments that were said. I have also heard this rumor, so obviously it's concerning. My staff and other public members being here, I did not know they were coming. I did not know they were speaking to this, so I want to make sure that that's clear. This was not on me trying to get an army in here, and I did not know they were coming. I did not know they were speaking. I have heard these rumors, and I would like to say to the board, if there is something that I am not doing correctly or I have not done correctly, please let me know. I want to improve. I want to do better. But when it comes to the budget, I want to make it clear. I bring my recommendations to the board, and the board votes and decides on that budget. If they want to decide to cut, and they have lines that I've suggested, they can do that, and I'm okay with that because that's their decision. So I just bring my recommendations as a person who has been hired to do the job as a director, as someone who is to manage the budget that's been voted on by the community and the trustees, whatever that looks like. And I bring my recommendations to the board because I am in the library every day seeing those needs and those things happen every day. And so the trustees are not here every day, and that's totally understandable. But I have a perspective to share with them that I feel could help them understand how the library budget works. So please understand that I am just doing my job. And I appreciate the support from the community, but I did not influence them in any way. I am concerned if that's a rumor going around, if that's true, obviously.
Can I ask where you heard the rumor from? And of course, no one will want to say because that's exactly what it is.
It was a community member. They came to me in confidence. So it was a community member that came to me in confidence, and I'm not going to break that confidence. But I don't know if it's true because I hope it's not because I feel that I
support the library. It's like I said, it's obviously not true.
Mm-hmm.
If I did not support the library, I would not be here.
I appreciate that.
So again, you don't believe everything you hear and don't assume things. And I know it's just a handful of people starting their little rumors, and they don't like me. They don't like Maura for whatever reasons. I don't.
Well, apparently they don't like me either. So we might be in the same boat. I'm just saying, if there's something that I'm not doing correctly, I would really appreciate the trustees coming to me and so that I can work on that and fix that. To my knowledge, and every year that I've had, my review has been stellar. And yes, there are always things that I'm going to have to work on. I know that. That's something that I hope is brought to me so that I can work on it. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. But this is it's a constantly moving system we have here, and we're going to do that. But I would appreciate me having the opportunity to make those improvements if that's the case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Jan?
Jan McLaughlin. My concern is the tenor of the questions, and I think it's great to ask the questions, and I'm sorry that there's rumors out there, and I'm sorry that folks are being put on the spot to answer questions, but in reality, our relationship to Erin, as well as to the library, is like an employer-employee relationship, and those relationships aren't something that any manager or employer should be answering about any employee that they manage. It's just not appropriate. They should be addressing them directly with the employee in question. So I think for my colleagues to say that they support the library is an appropriate thing for the library trustee to say, because we support the library, and part of supporting the library is supporting our relationship to the people who work here and what goes on here in the library. So I just want to say, I don't like rumors and things either, but the folks that come here, we come here and come to meetings, and we try and listen and accept the information, but we still do try and move things forward, like trying to fix the bylaws or trying to address shortcomings in our evaluation procedure, because that is an appropriate thing to do, because that's how we make things better in the future, and maybe how things weren't great in the past was because the things weren't as stringent before. So it's not pointed at any particular thing. It's a matter of moving forward and trying to be, appropriate for this year and time. So please understand that we are in a relationship with Erin and Donna and everybody else, but it's an employer-employee kind of relationship because of where we stand. And we really shouldn't be talking about, we don't like this or we don't like that. That's not an appropriate discussion to be having. It should be a employer-employee relationship if there was concerns like that. So I would hope that people would come to you if they have a problem, and they would come to you, because that's the way we have our things structured, is that Erin deals with her employees, and we deal with Erin, and she is the intermediate between that. So that's just what I have to say.
Thanks. Liz?
Liz Thomas. I want to point out that, I think that rumors start, and they're not always true, that, because of conversation. I think as a trustee, we should not be out in the general public making comments about our employees or the staff of this library. If we have a concern, it should be addressed within the trustees, and it should be, it followed up. But unfortunately, when people start talking about to other people, the story never gets the same between A and D, and it changes totally. And so it's hard to believe everything or anything that you hear, because the further it's gone down the line, the more the intent and the reason for the conversation to begin with has changed and altered. So I think we have a responsibility to be discretionary, as any boss would be with their employees. If they have a problem, they go to human resources. They certainly don't go to the general public and talk. And so, and I might be one of the persons that may have at some time made a comment like that, but it's my responsibility and everyone else's responsibility to, once you've accepted this position as a trustee, to have discretion and to discuss a problem within the group. The problem, unfortunately, there's 7 people with 7 different mindsets, and the problem may not always be resolved by how one person, Liz Thomas, would like it to be resolved. But the thing is, we have to go with the general consensus, and at that point, it should stay within the library, within the trustees. And I think that's important. We need to be able to, we are trustees, we need to be able to trust each other. And if we say something to another trustee about business, and then it gets, distorted and spread around and stuff, that's not good. So we need to be discretionary in what we say, who we're speaking to, and accept that this is a responsibility of ours to not just go out in the general public and talk.
Okay.
Our job is to listen to the general public's concerns and address them, not to bring out, issues that don't belong out there that we haven't resolved on our own.
Thank you.
Are you saying that someone has been speaking to the public about this, Liz? Is that what I understand you're saying?
I would say, okay, you're questioning me if I'm saying that, no, you shouldn't speak to the general public about anything,
Well,
right?
no, I guess the way it came across is you're saying that someone definitely did. And if it's a rumor, I really don't talk to anyone. I don't have time to
Yeah. And I
go
don't
and
know.
do stuff.
And honest to God, I don't know. I'm just saying if a lot of people have been told something, they said they've heard something.
Well, that's how, like you said, that's how rumors start.
Yeah. And again,
To badmouth someone.
it is probably a rumor, but we need to be, I guess, because rumors are appearing in this environment, we need to be conscious of who is, of what we're saying out in public. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Moira?
What is the paper that was passed out to you? Is that something we're not getting?
Yeah.
What is
from,
that?
It's a Maggie
Anyone, anything from Richard?
Okay.
He said he's got more things for me.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I emailed it to you all.
Oh,
That was
okay.
it.
I only had time
All right,
for-
I
for
really
two.
appreciate everybody's thoughts and comments on this, but we are going to move on at this point, okay? So we have the secretary's report, Liz. We're going to be voting on the past minutes, which, don't they look great up there?
Yes.
And our minutes beautiful, and the agenda and everything else? Yes, we are doing things.
Yes. We are now using the service that that the rest of the, other people in the town are using it. And she's very responsive, and she's very, she's very conscious of the 5-day
Yes.
limit, and she's been meeting her deadlines. So I'm very happy with her service.
Okay, good. We all got these minutes ahead of time, so we should be able to blow through these pretty quick. We should start with the approval of the minutes for September 4th. Would anyone like to make a motion to accept them? Or does anyone have any questions about them before we... Donna?
Jan, I believe you had volunteered to review those particular minutes.
Right, and it was for review
previously.
the audio. The problem is that finding the audio online is not possible. I spent about 8 hours trying to track down the audio from that meeting. But it was what was the order of that when that discussion happened. It wasn't the substance of the discussion. So as far as I'm concerned, we should just approve those minutes, and because it was just whether it happened at the beginning of the meeting or it happened midway through the meeting. So as far as I'm concerned, it still happened in the meeting. It was still appropriately, positioned, and it was appropriately discussed. So my feeling is we should just move on.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
we're going to do a roll call vote.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Audio, that's fine, so,
I, Nancy Hendricks, and I moved the minutes.
thank you. Kim Bears, aye.
Steve Fitzgerald, aye.
Maura Ryan, aye.
Jan McLaughlin, aye.
Liz Thomas, aye.
Great, so it passes, and we will move on to the minutes from October 2nd. That was a big one, and thank you so much, Donna, again.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the meeting of October the 2nd.
Second.
Okay,
I, Nancy Hendricks.
I, Kim Bears.
And Steve Fitzgerald.
I'm Maura Ryan.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
Aye, Liz Thomas.
And the last one were the minutes from the last meeting, November 6th. Does anybody have any questions or
I have
comments?
some corrections.
Okay.
So on line 39, Christine Fitzgerald, line 39, that was for the approval for the October 23rd meeting minutes. I abstained because I wasn't at that meeting, and it says that I agreed, so that's not correct. And then I would also like to include the whole discussion of the $3,500 when I questioned where that information came from. None of that is in here. I'd like that to be recorded, please.
Where is that?
It's around, I guess, line 95 to 99.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. I don't even see anything about $3,500.
I asked about it because I asked Erin where that figure came from, and she said that person gave it to her.
Oh, regarding the video
Right.
stuff, okay.
Yeah.
So do we now go back to the, Erin Matlin, sorry, library director, do we go back to our recording secretary to have her review this?
She has to do corrections.
Yeah, so then Liz is, I just want to clarify who's responsible for that. Is it Liz?
It's Beth, right? She did the actual minutes.
Right, but Liz
Beth would do the
needs
corrections,
to
Yeah, Beth
get
would
a
have-
hold of.
Right.
Okay.
Liz, are you good with that? Liz, are you good with that?
Yes,
Get in touch, tell about those two things on the...
Yep.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
we don't
I think you have to vote to move those to the next meeting.
table it to the next one.
Yes.
All right, so who wants to do it?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we table, I, Nancy Hendricks, make a motion that we table the meeting minutes from November the 6th until our next meeting, which would be January the 8th.
Second, Christine Fitzgerald.
Roll call.
Roll call.
I, Nancy Hendricks.
Hi, Kim Beers.
Hi, Christine Fitzgerald.
I'm Maura Ryan.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
Alice Thomas.
Thank you. Okay, normally we would move on to the director's report next, but we have a guest here to speak to us. Drew, if you want to come up and talk to us, Drew Karen is the cable director. He's here to talk to us about the possibilities of having our meetings videotaped in this room. Thanks, Drew.
No problem. Glad to be here. I'm usually behind the camera.
Smile.
Best I can do.
Well, from what I see, it's not a difficult room to wire up at all. It's not like the old days. You don't have to string lots of cable and things like that, and the cameras don't weigh 900 pounds anymore. It's easy to record things like this. We've been doing it a lot, and we just wired up the entire podcasting room over there with probably the same method we would do it here. Obviously, we'd have to do some things are working, some things are not working. I would not abandon the audio right off the bat. I would stick with that until we can get going and know, where the failures are, if there are any. But for the most part, it would be just a recording that probably set the camera up either there or maybe in the corner.
Okay.
Just so you can see like me talking to you.
And then we don't
Otherwise, you're always seeing the back. And the public tends to react to things like, well, we want to see who's talking. So the camera would probably be set up in a way that we could always grab everyone at the same time, but wouldn't really be an operator. If you wanted an operator, that would get more involved. We could stream it live and things like that. But to just have it recorded, the best way to go would be just 5 or 6 different components and be all set to go.
So what do we need to do to move forward with this?
Well, the camera we already have.
Okay.
I ordered a little extra to wire up Sunnycrest a little bit differently, and I haven't gotten to it, but we could just use that. And I do have to order a few other things. Like I said, the audio would be a little bit different. What we'd probably have to do is record with what's called a shotgun mic, and I would probably mix it with what we are recording right off the table, so I could get some sync. But in the future, what I could do is I was looking for a smaller, what they're called, boundary mics. And they're, if anyone's been in Sunnycrest, they kind of operate like that. They look like little hockey pucks that you move around, and that way you don't have to worry about wires being strung on the floor, the ground or anything like that. And what it does is just transmits back to a base, which records right into a small device about the size of this pad of paper.
Wow.
So it's called a little video assist, and they record up to 170 minutes per card. So
We don't want meetings that long.
I sure hope so. Although the planning board sure is, they're getting close.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
So the card is in the device, and then we would have to bring that card to you?
Or I could come get it,
Okay,
whatever.
I just wanted to be clear. Okay, and
Yeah.
that card can be used over and over again?
Yep.
Okay.
There's no loss in it at all, and there's no break. Anytime, like if you do go 170 minutes or so, and it goes right into the next card, like
Okay.
you never even noticed that it would happen.
Okay.
The only thing would be working out the logistics, like, do you bring it over, do I come get it?
Yeah.
And we can massage that in the future as well,
Yeah,
and come up with
absolutely.
something maybe that works a little bit better.
Yep. Yeah, that would work.
Yes, does anyone have any questions for Drew?
Jan McLaughlin. So I'm assuming if the camera was like in that corner, for like you were saying, then we should just move that over more so people could see the public
Sure.
folks, and maybe angle that so they can see the folks on that table. or
Yeah,
something.
Aaron Matlin, library director. I met with Drew in the room, and I did say that wherever he sets the camera, we can set up the room accordingly, so that we would obviously have the camera be the main show. So we can adjust our
So that we
setting.
can have the public see what they want to see.
Yep.
In addition to hearing it.
Right.
Yep.
Great.
So, in the old days, we used to call this plug and play. So is it just a matter of turning this on, really?
Right. Well, and really, the expression turnkey comes from exactly that. They used to
Okay.
turn a key and everything used to come
Right,
on.
okay.
And
it
glorious
just starts magically recording.
interlaced video. But
Okay.
nowadays, it's just a little device that whoever's responsible for
Yeah.
turning on it, just a on switch that would come on. And we could even leave the audio board on. It's not like it's drawing a lot of energy.
So how do
And-
we know if it's malfunctioning?
The only real way...
Because you know what's going to happen. It's going to stop functioning in the middle of the meeting, and then to everybody's point, we're going to get screamed at because we don't have a recording.
That's the one thing that
So
we
we
try
don't
to
want
do.
that.
So what would avoid that would be having backups.
Okay.
So we'd always have an audio recording in addition to what you're recording.
Right. True.
And then the video itself.
Okay.
And over in Moose Hill, things are a little more complicated. That's being streamed out to three different areas, and we record right in the room. And still, sometimes we have failures. It depends on who's on. If a lot of, well, it's not going to be like that in here, but if enough people are watching, it'll cause the stream to
Yeah.
shutter.
So
But
do we know if it's malfunctioning?
you could, but it'll have a flashing red light that comes out.
Flashing.
There we go.
Okay.
But that's just usually that. All that warning usually means is this what's called drop frames,
Yeah.
and with staccato a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's just, we've worked all those kinks out, so we know what works with those types of cards. And that usually, I haven't seen one in a long time, probably 5 months, and that's when we were first using. The devices weren't really set up to do these types of things, but so many government entities and so many churches were getting on their case about you have to accommodate for professional audio,
Right.
and they're starting to do that now.
Good. Okay.
And we will have the audio backup too, so.
Absolutely. So the audio will be wireless, like I said. So.
Jan?
So, Jan McLaughlin, what is the time frame from the time that if we were to approve to have this begin, how long would it take to actually, our next meeting would be January 8th. Is that possible if we were to approve something tonight? Or if January 8th we approve something, what is the timeline as far as getting things wired up?
I would say, I was just thinking about that. January 8th, we're probably cutting it a little close.
Right,
So
'cause
try
of
to
the
get
holidays,
there.
yes.
Only because of the holidays. But February, definitely plausible.
Great.
I don't see a problem with that at all.
Madam Chair, just one last question.
Oh, sure.
if you might. So what is the cost involved?
Well, the total cost of the items, if you're just talking about what I was just talking about what to do, would be about $1,500 to $2,000. If we add the audio later on, that alone would be about $1,500 added on. But the cable department, we have a pretty generous contract with Comcast, and we have an equipment fund that would barely put a dent in it, but it's meant for something like this, so we could, just add.
So great.
Right. So I don't see it. It's not, video equipment doesn't cost nearly what it used to, and it's way better than it used to be. So the idea is, to get something set up that's somewhat within the times, and it doesn't cost the earth to wire it up. I mean, if you look right above you, you had a huge the projector that's above you.
Yeah,
we installed that last year, and that's less than that's like half the size of what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Any other questions?
All right, that sounds great. Liz?
Liz Thomas. So basically you're saying at this point in time, doing that initial setup would not hit the library budget financially at this time?
No.
That the cable station would be able to cover
We'd be able to cover that.
Okay, because it's not in our budget right now, and it's something that in the future, for any upgrades, we would want to get into our budget if we need to. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Jan?
I'm just at the point where I'd like to make a motion
Oh, sure.
that we give approval to the cable folks and to Aaron to work out the details for the library, to decide what's safe or what makes sense for this meeting room, so that to protect the privacy of children when they're here, but to allow us to have things broadcast or recorded so that the public can be informed as to what's going on during the meetings. So.
Second. Thanks, Christine. Roll call?
Hi, Nancy Hendricks.
Hi, Kim Beers.
I'm Kristen Fitzgerald. I'm Laura Ryan.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
Hi, Liz Thomas.
Thank you, Drew, for taking your time to come out.
Very nice of you to come.
You are free to go if you want to. If you want to.
All right. So, we are going to move on to the director's report.
Yes. Just a couple of announcements. Thank you to DPW for kind of handling some things this past month. There were some light bulbs replaced. We had I noticed a tree leaning into our parking lot. It was a smallish tree, but nonetheless, with snow and ice, it would probably come down. So they were able to take that one down and then also trim some others in our back parking lot. They also helped address a roof leak that we had in our tech services department. This was partially covered under the warranty when we got the new roof. They did fix, the master roofers, which was the vendor, did fix that, and we're thankful for that. They also did another toilet handle. The exciting world of toilet handles. We also had our HVAC company, A&E Systems, do our preventive maintenance for the fall, so we should be all set going into the winter season with our HVAC, and then our regular elevator check. Skipping ahead just to our meetings and trainings on the last page. I wanted to mention that I attended the Friends meeting. I also attended I believe it was 3 budget workshops related at the town council meetings. Donna and I met with Justin and Sarah in finance to go over the library budget. We hosted a GMELCS meeting here in this room. So that was exciting. Another staffing update. I just want to congratulate Kylie. She will be with us 3 years as of tomorrow. So thank you to Kylie. I also just wanted to follow up real quick. One of the town meetings I attended, I requested, I've been talking about, and I believe I mentioned it here at one of these meetings, a veterans parking spot specific for veterans. The sign did come in, and DPW is going to be working on installing that so that they have a dedicated parking space. And it'll be right the parking lot across the street, I guess, of the library. So that'll be in soon. They're probably busy getting ready for the storm. So. I did not want to bother them. And I did, something new I added to the director's report is just a list of documents that are being included in the packets, just in case people say, did you get that? Or, was that in a packet? Or did I miss something? It's all listed right there, just to help with that. So, and that's all in the director's report. Did anybody have any questions?
Oh, yeah. I know you're telling us when people have anniversaries, when do they get their increases, their raises, and their evaluations?
On the 12/5 date. So FERS would be the 12/5 date.
Okay. So at what point do we get, when do we hear about people getting their increases and their promotions and stuff like that?
So my department heads, in her case, she has a department head. That department head does the evaluation and decides on the merit. And then I sign that form and we submit it to payroll. So.
Okay. But we should be told that too, correct?
I can certainly, because it's happening the day before, or the day after our meeting rather, I can certainly bring those to the next meeting if that's what the board would like to have.
Yeah.
In the past, that hasn't been a tradition, so I'm happy to adjust that if the board would like to know when staff gets their merits and what those merits are. I'm happy to include that.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
I think that's in our bylaws too, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's something that we should have been getting all along. Okay, Erin, you want to?
Yes, if there's no more, there's no question.
So I have a question and a comment. I do want, Jan McLaughlin, I do want to ask about, or comment about today at the senior center. Someone from Leach Library came to talk with seniors about the programming that's going on between Christmas and New Year's because the senior center will be closed.
Oh, yeah.
It was very nice. She was very well received by the folks that were in the room I was in. There was a lot of discussion by folks that lived in town and out of town as far as how they could access the information because a lot of folks that go to the center might not be Londonderry residents.
Oh, true.
So that was a good thing. I just wanted to say that was excellent, and people got calendars and lists of activities. So hopefully you'll have a lot of response and get a lot of people to come in. So that was great. I noticed today that there's money being collected in the children's room.
I'm sorry, what's
There's money being collected in the children's room?
in the jug, the giant
big
jug?
jug.
Yep, that goes to the Friends.
That's for the Friends, because it just says, it will support our library, but it was unclear as to what it was supporting and how.
Yeah, that goes to the Friends, and essentially they can use it as they see fit, but a lot of times they've been using their money to sponsor programs for the library.
Okay, so if it could be signed a little better, just so that people
Sure.
knew.
I can adjust the signage, absolutely.
And the last thing is the elevator. I know we had our elevator check, but the elevator pads have quite a few stains and things on them. I don't know if they have been ever cleaned or not, but sometimes they are up for a long time. And people do use and I mean, not a lot of people use them, but just it's kind of.
Are you talking about the padding around the inside of the elevators?
Yes, the padding that's put up when you're moving things.
Yes,
to
so
protect the elevator.
that's been up since I was hired, and to my knowledge, the previous director wanted it to stay up. I have toyed with the idea of taking it down because I feel like it's unnecessary, not really moving a lot of furniture.
From my standpoint, I would just assume it really should only go up when the elevator's being used to move equipment or something that will bang into it.
Yep.
I mean, people that are going back and forth, and that's probably why it's dirty, from people just going.
Yeah. So I'm happy to take them
whatever.
down. I'm happy to take them down.
And maybe clean them somehow. I don't know how they get cleaned, sent to the dry cleaners or something, but
that might cost a bit.
yeah. Well, but maybe we could find out about it at least.
Yep.
So that when they're used the next time, that it will, be fresh and looking well. They may just be able to go in a washing machine. I don't know. But thank you very much. I appreciate the answers to those questions.
Sure. Any other questions on the report? All right. Donna's up.
All right. Tech services. In November, we added 416 materials to the collection, and we're working our way back up number-wise. December probably will be a little bit lower than that just because of the holidays and staff taking time off. So that's just my prediction, but we are, after joining GMILKs, we are kind of working our way back up to where we were. We did start test ordering, and we obviously during that we focused on things patrons have asked for since we paused ordering before migrating. So that has begun. We're not quite back to like the normal swing of things yet, mainly because of setting up things on the back end still and further training. I did want to give kudos, I want to give kudos to the whole staff, but to tech services in particular, the staff that works in there, they have been expected to learn things extremely quickly and adjust to basically a whole new way of doing things, a new workflow entirely. I know I'm a little biased where I'm the one that oversees tech services, but I do believe that tech services is an area that was affected most by the change in the new system. So it's taken a lot of effort in figuring out new ways to do things. So I give them tons of kudos. Something I wanted to add to my report, so when department heads we try to meet monthly, but in reality it's really been more like quarterly. I know we haven't necessarily been sharing like the summary of that meeting with you, and something that I've really liked about going to GMILKs meetings is that the groups prepare what they call bullets for their board after their meeting. So I'd like to do that with our department head meetings and bring you kind of a summary of what was discussed so that you kind of know what's going on. So we discussed at the November 20th meeting when we last met, we discussed a lot of workflow changes relating to GMILKs and the new ILS. We had a decision to choose between two different vendors for our summer reading program and the theme that we went with. And we ended up deciding to follow the New Hampshire State Library and proceed with the iRead summer reading theme for 2025. The biggest reason why is because it has no cost to the library for us to participate under that theme. And the theme for next year is level up at your library, which kind of focuses on learning through play. And I did include a link on my report if anyone is interested in looking further at what that theme looks like, what the art looks like, all that kind of good stuff. We also discussed redistributing some responsibilities and potentially making future changes to the library's org chart. So moving some employees to report to different managers, basically. So that was that. And we also learned from GMILKs that Polaris has released, Polaris is our new ILS. They released their 7.7 upgrade. The GMILKs board voted to upgrade to that release as soon as possible because it has a lot of beneficial updates, particularly for tech services, that we would absolutely love to see. And so the board voted yes. The GMILK staff has scheduled that upgrade to happen on January 30th. What that will mean for us is that we will be offline that day, so it will be very similar to like one day of our migration where we're not able to really do anything except check out, but we will have that available to us. And then as soon as the upgrade's over, we'll go back to normal. So just so that you're aware that there'll be basically limited services for that one day because of the upgrade. And then as you can see from the meetings and trainings list, I have been really involved with trying to get as much figured out behind the scenes. There's a lot of training still happening behind the scenes, even though everything's kind of been resolved for the public. So just so you're aware that a lot of that's going on still.
Questions or comments for Donna? Thank you.
So also included in your packet, Erin Matlin, Library Director. Also included in your packet is the Head of Circulation, Teen Services Report, our Head of Children's and Adult Services Report, and the Children's Report. So you can certainly read those at your leisure unless there's anything else that anybody had questions regarding the reports. Oh,
I did have one question that I meant to bring up during the secretary's report, and I apologize. So one thing that had been happening in the minutes is that I was including the full reports that we gave you in the minutes. And I brought that up to Beth as, like, is it possible for her to add those? And she said that that's not really typical for a board to include, like, the full report within the minutes. However, if you did want to include it could be like an appendix. So I just wanted kind of a consensus on how you felt about either them being included in the minutes or added as an appendix for going forward.
This is Jan McLaughlin. I would like them included, probably as an appendix is the easiest way, because it's kind of cleaner as far as no matter what you're approaching it with, whether it's a phone or whatever, you can pull it up easier if it's an appendix. So, and if they were each individual items, so you didn't have to get like 65 pages all at once, you could just choose to read the director's report or just your report. I would like to see that as done as an appendix.
Are you okay with me communicating that with Beth, or would you prefer Liz?
Well, how would it work?
So I was particularly asking her about the November 6th meeting minutes because they didn't have the reports included at all in its current form. So we are the ones that obviously have the editable version of that document. So it would probably mean that once you're sending the minutes to us that that's transcribed, we would attach the appendix documents, is my thought, unless you have different.
No, that's
okay.
yeah.
So I would just, I basically would just reply to her and confirm that that is what we're going to do going forward, if you're okay with that.
Is that something that we need to vote on, or is that something that's just consensus?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think we are supposed to put any documents we use in the meetings, make them public anyway, so
Right.
I don't think we have to. Right, and this particular item wasn't on the agenda, so we didn't need to vote on it. Correct?
I'm sorry, can I interrupt? All of this conversation is not going to get picked up in the minutes because no one's identifying and people are speaking softly, and I think that Beth is going to have trouble transcribing this. Okay, and so I just wanted to call that your attention to that so that, you know.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to old business.
Okay, Erin Matlin, Library Director. So the first item is budget FY26. Just as I had mentioned, I attended the November 12th, 18th, and December 2nd meeting. And then there's one more meeting before deliberative on December 16th. I did put an updated, my crossed out marker rather, budget calendar in your packet, so you have that there. I did email everybody sorry.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? So I was at the budget meeting on Monday night. I told you that at the beginning. I will not be in town for the 16th.
Okay.
I was going to be on the 9th, but they canceled the 9th.
They did.
So now I will not be in town for the 16th, and I was hoping that someone here would volunteer to be at that meeting to offer support. Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. Kim Beers.
Okay, Erin Matlin, Library Director. So moving on. So one more meeting at the 12/16 before deliberative. I did email everybody on the board that I went to those meetings with a link to the meetings and the time of where and I spoke. So if you wanted to look back on what I said, you can. So at the Monday meeting, which was the December 2nd meeting, there was a request from the Budget Committee to all departments. Our request, I had to bring back to the trustees because you guys have to vote on it. There was I believe 2 requests from them regarding our budget. One was to cut the children's librarian position and have it not go to warrant. And the other one was to do an additional cut of $20,000 to our operating. Obviously, it's up to the board what they would like to do and how they would like to see that. There was some recommendation. Joseph, I think I'm saying his last name right, Gagnon on the Budget Committee did offer some recommended areas of where to cut or to see those cuts. So I can certainly share them with the board. And then we also, Donna and I sat down and kind of put together some options to share with the board. In the end, the board can do what they want. So his recommended cuts was, I'll just go down the lines, from general expenses. He wants a suggestion of cut 1,000, bringing that line to $9,000. Office supplies, cut 2,000, bringing that to 10. Books and periodicals, cut 10, bringing it to 90. Furniture, cut 1,500, bringing that to 1,000. Management services, cut 2,841, bringing it to 19. Printing, cut 1,500, bringing that to 3,500. And travel, cut 1,000, bringing that to 0. Which, when I totaled it up, it came to $19,481. So pretty close to 20. I was asked at that meeting why the travel, what the need for the travel was, and I did respond saying that we use it obviously to go to trainings and meetings and committees that we're on, but that the board also, and I believe Nancy, you brought this up, wanted to explore a possible home delivery option or outreach option. So we did try to include that in that amount. Certainly. We can explore other options if that's a cut where the board would like to see. There's mail delivery, but all of this comes at a cost, or we just put it on, table it for now and explore it another time. If you'd like, I can go into I have 5 options for the board, or you can come up with your own. I'm sorry? I do not have a copy of this, no. But so I'll just read my options. Option 1 was obviously to cut nothing, keep the warrant article, and go back to the budget committee and say no thank you. That's always an option. Option 2, cut nothing and remove the warrant article for the children's librarian position. Option 3, cut $20,000 and keep the warrant article, obviously. And then option 4, cut $20,000 and ask that that for a part-time children's librarian position be added into the budget. So it would be no warrant, it would just be added in the budget with the still cut of $20,000. And then option 5 we had was to cut $12,191, which would bring us to default, and keep the warrant article for the children's part-time, and do kind of a reach of ask to the budget committee and ask them to recommend that warrant article. So obviously there's many variables within those options, so it is open for discussion. If we wanted to cut the $20,000, Don and I have come up with areas where we think that cut could come from. But then you're talking about, it could be affecting services. So before I go on, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to add one thing about the travel line. I wanted to note that is not an addition this year. That was that we removed $1,000 from another line where it already existed and put it in the travel line. So it was not that we were asking for any additional money. It's just that we moved the money that was already there.
So it was clearer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was the discussion we had about that line.
Correct.
Was making it so it was clearer what the money was going to be spent on.
Yep. Yes.
So, I saw that same thing and said, well, gee, that's not really the problem. So
I guess, I'm going to ask the board what they would like to do. Because I do have to go back to the December, 16th meeting and give them an answer. So I would like the board to guide me.
My Kim Bears, my feeling is we cut $30,000 last year when no other department did, and to ask us to cut again, I don't know, this is not, I just think that we already gave them a bare bones budget. And again, nothing in there was a want, everything in there was a need. So, that's just my opinion. And if anybody else wants to speak up, feel free.
I guess we have 2 options. We need to decide on the warrant article, and then we need to decide on the cut.
Right.
So, Erin Matlin.
Oh, sorry, yes.
So Nancy Hendricks, was this a recommendation, was it unanimous by the budget committee?
I believe so. This Joseph Gagnon was the one who read it to me, but I believe it was a decision that was coming
So
whole from the budget.
it was a unanimous vote?
I believe so, yes.
didn't all other departments get asked to reduce by a certain amount this year?
They did, and I'm not sure exactly, I mean, there was a lot of discussion going on. I think the police, Erin Matlin, sorry, I think the police and fire might have been asked to cut their overtime, but I know there was also discussions regarding that, so I don't know exactly what their requests were.
I guess I was just wondering, because we're not being singled out.
No, other departments were asked to cut this year, yes. Last year, we were the only department to cut.
Right.
But this year, and in our case, I go back to the trustees, and you guys decide how those cuts look like. In their case, they have finance and other people to guide them in those cuts, or not. So I try not to get involved with them because it's a lot.
So did Christine Fitzgerald, did any of your proposed cuts reflect any of the ones that the budget committee read off?
Some of them did, yes. Yep.
Which ones were they?
So our recommendations, if we were to cut the 20,000, would be, again, 10,000 from books and periodicals, which was similar to what the budget committee recommended. Full-time, we would cut 2,500 from full-time salaries. The reason we would cut from full-time salaries is because that includes that would be the vacation buyout that our staff has option to do. Management services, which was a recommended cut from them, we would cut 2,000. They asked for 2,841. We would also cut from electric services, which is 2,000. Office supplies, which was 2,000, which was the same as their cut. And furniture, we would cut 1,500. They were saying the same as that. So ours came to actually $20,000. So I would like to note that if we cut books and periodicals, which is the 10,000, we do risk losing the Hoopla database, which is the online version. And I don't know if Donna has statistics to speak to that and what that would look like if we wanted to go that route. That's what that would look like.
Donna Plant, I wanted to just note for the cut to the full-time salary,
yes,
that the reason why we could even do that is because some of our staff very kindly let me know very early if they were not looking to take the benefit of cashing out vacation. So they confirmed that early for us so that we could remove that from the budget. That would not be something you'd be able to do every year because that's in the personnel policy.
Sure.
I am concerned that I understand that we have a situation where the taxes have gone up and people are concerned about that. The economy's not wonderful right now, or it's tailing off, and people are concerned about that. But I am concerned about us, scraping the budget down to a low level again, and then being asked to then remove the $20,000 and not have the library position for the children's librarian. I would like to see us not cut the $20,000, and I would like to see us add into the budget the part-time children's librarian position, so that it would not be a warrant article. So we can avoid going to the warrant article, because that sounds like they're going to have a whole bunch of warrant articles that are going to be about other things. But that the position will come into the budget where it probably should have been to begin with. And that we will have better staffing as a result. So that's what I personally would like to see, is that we say thank you, but no thank you. Right now we need this money, and that's what we should say.
I would agree. I mean, I obviously was not on this board last year, but when $30,000 out of a reasonably small, lean and mean budget is a lot of money. And based on what I've read and what we've discussed, I know that there are things that we've done without. I find it almost impossible to believe that they want to talk about $2,500 for broken furniture when we could be sued and lose our library. So I certainly don't support that line item. But I think that this is a responsible budget that we put together, and I think that we stay with what we have submitted.
If I could just, I just want to, wait 1 second, I just want to, yes, I think it was a unanimous vote from the budget committee for this. But then one of the budget committee members spoke up on our behalf, and you need to hear these statistics before you make this decision, because it is a little bit surprising. So Kate Burbridge checked with 9 other towns with similar populations in ours, and the latest data we had was from 2023, so it's not this year, it's previous. In Londonderry, our budget was $1.3 million, and we have 26,708 people living in town. In Keene, they have 22,917 people, and their budget is $2.4 million. That was the highest of all the 10. I'm not going to give you every single one. You can go listen to the tape, but it's very interesting to hear. So, as far as librarians, positions in the building, Portsmouth, again, with a little over, well, close to 23,000 people have 27 librarians working in the building. 27.
Are they all full-time now?
No, yeah.
We report full-time equivalent. So they may actually have more than that with part-timers. We always report the full-time equivalent.
Thank you.
Donna Plant.
We have 13.4. The average of the 10 libraries is 16.8. We are 3.4 short. So it's not even like we're asking for this really, we're short. So anyway, we are open 3,250 hours, the second highest of all 10 of those libraries. Keene, who has the highest budget with 23,000 people, they're open 2,610 hours. We have the most reference transactions of all 10 libraries, 19,444. We have the third highest physical collection and the second highest collection of ebooks. Our librarians are doing more hours with significantly less. And that's all I'm going to say. When you hear that, you should be embarrassed, frankly. So I will go with what the board decides, but I feel we should go for it all. Liz?
Liz Thomas, my concern is by trying to take the position and put it into a budget, is the budget committee is just going to turn it down, period. That's why I felt that we wanted to go to the general public to ask the general public, are you willing to, support financially this position? Because it's the general public who's paying for it, okay? And so, I guess I'm uncomfortable with saying, okay, yeah, we'll do away with the warrant article, but we'll go ahead and put it into the budget, because I think it's going to just be they're going to just strike that line out, and then we lose. I agree that we are understaffed. I think it's amazing what this library staff is able to do in the services that they're able to provide, and I just really feel like I think we have to be concerned with the general public's financial welfare. But we also, our job is to keep a vibrant library going to service this town. This town is growing, How the staff has not grown in comparison to the amount of people that in our services have grown, So I think that demographically, you could talk about Keene and everything else, but there's always, they're voting. I mean, that's a college town. They're gonna be voting and giving anything a lot to the library because it's a college town, but basically, it's important to look at the amount of staff we're comparing our like-sized towns to. And financially, every town is not always in the same position, but that you got to start somewhere. And any way you look at it, at the demographics, we're down. Any way you look at it, we're providing all this stuff, and it's like straining. It's straining for the staff, So I think that I really feel like, it's time, knowing I know the economy is bad. I understand that. But understanding the growth in this town and the demand for the more library services, that we need to take that into account, and we need to be, conscious of our duty to protect not only the town, but also to provide a wonderful, good service in our library. And financially, sometimes it takes some, more money to do that.
Thanks, Liz. Jane, you had your hand up?
Right, so my hand was up because I am concerned. I understand what you were saying about the, putting it into the budget. I think at one point we even discussed the object of possibly asking for them to fund the position as of January then, out of their unencumbered funds, the place where all the funds go at the end that people seem to be able to tap into, but we don't ever seem to be able to do that. But the other thing is, I don't believe that based on the RSAs and the way it's set up, I do not believe that the Budget Committee can, after the fact of when we decide as the trustees as to what a final budget is, I do not believe that the Budget Committee can just come and say, nope, we're just going to do that, because it is the responsibilities of the trustees to do the budget for the library. So if they were to take the $20,000 out of our budget, in reality it would have to come out of someplace else in their budget, because our budget would have to be what we had chosen as the trustees. So I think that, I just wanted to remind us that the way the RSAs are set up for the library is separate for a reason, and it's separate for the reason that it's to protect the libraries from being raided and made always to be the scapegoat.
Yep.
So,
Moira, you had your hand up?
So I did watch the link from the Budget Committee hearing, and I know that they also gave you the option of putting a warrant article where you requested a full-time, and if the full-time didn't pass, you had the option of putting a part-time, and I think we should consider that.
Okay.
And I have a question on the whole issue with the book money, is that's the money that goes into our account. And if we were to pull money from the book money, is there any way that we could potentially do fundraising or book sales or something to make that up? Because I noticed that they commented that it was consistently over budget, and where are we getting the extra money?
Well,
And,
sorry. So Erin Matlin, excuse me, library director. So we're a bottom line budget, so sometimes that money will come out of something else. And then we also have, in the past, from my knowledge, we have asked the trustees for additional funds to pay for additional money or for the books. I don't believe I've done it in my years here, I don't think. But we have gone over budget in that line the reason we added money to that line, I understand that there was a comment, I believe, by Joseph mentioning that we're joined GMILKs and that we wouldn't need as much money, which, yes, in theory, that's true. We did join GMILKs and we have access to more materials, but this was also in response to the inflation of costs of those materials. So, yes, we don't necessarily need to buy everything now, and that's absolutely wonderful, but the cost of those items have gone up. So that was the reason why we wanted that $10,000 back in there. To your point of could we fundraise and earn money, so the book sale money you guys already get, so that goes into your account. Does it bring in $10,000 a year? Do you remember? Yeah, so
4K.
So that's not terrible, but there may be other opportunities. In fact,
we're doing I don't know if you guys noticed, a holiday gift book sale
that's great.
this year. And we started it November 4th, thanks to my wonderful staff member Kelly there who's helped me. And we're close to raising $1,000 already just by doing that. So opportunities like that, looking for, and I started that. I did that in my last library and it was very successful. So things like that. I don't know if it's going to match that $10,000 that you speak of, but it's certainly something if the trustees wanted to, they could say, well, you know, in our trustees account, let's allow for $5,000 a year to go toward whatever. You guys can decide that. That's your money, certainly. And regarding the children's position, I did ask Justin if that was possible, because I believe that the police are doing it where they get 2 officers or 1, and I'm not exactly sure of those details. I did ask him if we could do a full-time librarian and a part-time librarian, and he was going to look into that and get back to me. He was pretty sure, but he wanted to double check, so I can certainly find that out. But we'd have to make that decision tonight. If we can do that, the board can decide to go with that option.
Can you explain it? Just
So it would be 2 warrant articles. What my thought process is that it would be 2 warrant articles. One that would be for a part-time librarian position, and one would be for the full-time. And the wording would say as such that one would negate the other. So you, in the end, we'd only have 1, and that would the voters would decide on which one they would prefer. So that was an option I brought to when I spoke because of the police one. I thought if they can do that, maybe we can do that too. But that would be if the board wanted to pursue that. I can certainly follow up with Justin and make sure that's possible.
Yeah,
we should consider
I do too.
And leave it up to the voters,
Yeah.
what they want
And
to do.
the other thing, again, the same thing about the unrestricted funds or the whatever, however you want to call the slush fund. Jan McLaughlin is, so I would like us, if the $20,000 is a big deal, to also ask to ask folks for $20,000 from that fund to supplement our budget for this coming year. So, you know, we need the budget. We need that much of the budget, and we shouldn't be cutting it. If they are insisted on cutting, would like that cut it, then we ain't cut. Then we need to find that money from someplace else, which would be that. And I don't have any problem with us trying to do additional fundraising or whatever, but because we could do that, it certainly might help for something else.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? What are you saying we get the $20,000 from?
From they have a fund where at the end of the budget year, things that are left over, instead of all of it coming back, they're allowed to keep a certain portion of it, or they can opt to do that. And it's like, I don't know, $7 or $8 million that they have, roughly. And what happens is with the warrant articles, a lot of the warrant articles that come out, in order to make them zero impact on the tax dollar, they come out of that fund. But then they're added into the default budget. So the next year, the default budget is higher, and it does this weird stuff. And it's like, well, if the money's there, and it's being used by everybody else, we should be asking to use that so that it won't impact our constituents. So we could do that for the position, but we could also do that for this $20,000 that they would like to have removed from the budget. Well, then we want $20,000 from that fund to offset our budget for the $20,000 they want taken out. I mean, you know, I understand it sounds kind of complicated, but the reality is the budget is very slim.
Right.
And we need people. We needed this position 2 years ago.
Right.
And the position was cut, and then we didn't bring it forward last year, and we still need the position, and things have grown even greater.
Yes.
So we need this position in the children's library, and we need the spending as we had stated with the budget. So,
Liz Thomas, my only concern is if we were to cut the position or cut the money out of the budget, with the anticipation that maybe they'll be cut, the town will be kind and give us the money to, it's just a risk. I don't think we should be cutting this with the hope that we might get, the benevolence of the town giving us back that money. Because they're not used to us going for money. They're used to the other departments, very important departments, fire, police, etc. Very important departments. I'm not questioning that they're not worth funding. I'm questioning where we're going to fall in the totem pole, and if we cut money now, I just don't see it coming back to us.
We haven't seen that 30,000 back. Erin?
Erin Matlin, Library Director, I just want to state that if the board does decide to go forward and not do a 20,000 to cut and still include the children's librarian warrant, I would ask that a board member speak to that at the next meeting. Because I have a feeling if I go up there, this is the board's vote, this is the board's request. I would like a member from the committee to state that was the board's decision. Because I don't think it'll be received well. And I would like a member of the committee to speak to that. With that said, I think, of course, I don't want to see a cut. I would love to go forward and have the $20,000 and the children's librarian. That would be really wonderful. However, I thought maybe we can compromise and cut half and still keep the children's librarian so that we're showing a good gesture that we're trying to do that. But I do think it does need to be mentioned, and maybe a board member can speak to this at that meeting, that we were cut last year, and we were cut quite a significant amount, and we were the only department that was cut. And that we are still want to participate in trying to do our best to accommodate the community. So I think if it was me, as much as I do not want to see a cut, I think it would probably be more beneficial for the trustees to come to a compromise on what that would look like. And if not, then I think either way, I would like someone to come and speak to it, aside from myself and if Donna decides to speak, because I think that's how the miscommunication happens.
Yeah, so I agree. I mean, maybe we can meet them halfway, and I know it would be painful.
It would be.
But maybe we could find $10,000, and after hearing some other discussion, maybe we should put the position to a warrant and to Christine's point, let the voters decide. And that way, when we go back to the board, we at least are demonstrating we're trying to work with them. We're demonstrating good faith, and maybe that will appease them. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christine. Do you want me to?
I don't know who I called Liz. So
Oh, I didn't see Liz, sorry.
Okay, based on a previous conversation I had with budget committee members 2 years ago, they indicated that they would have been happy to consider a part-time for the first year at least, for a part-time position. I think we have to show some good faith that we're working with them. I love the idea that Erin brought back to the warrant of giving the taxpayers you give us a half of, or a part-time employee, or a full-time employee, or vote them both down. It's up to the general public, but that's up to the general public, and the consequences of what happens, will have to be felt by all. And I think that's showing a good faith that what they wanted, we're looking for 2 years ago, we're willing to come to the board, but now this taking it off the warrant, I don't think is a good choice. Okay, and realistically, cutting $20,000 out of our budget, it's not a huge thing, but it's a lot of money because we don't have a big budget like these other departments. I don't think they realize the percentage that we would be cutting, and so, I think rather than going ahead and cutting, we'll say, okay, we'll keep it on, we'd like to see it on, but let's give the general public the option of, maybe not having a full-time position, and we'll live with that decision. Whatever the general public says, we'll live with.
Christine?
Yeah, I was going to agree with Erin. I was actually going to recommend that, is to show good faith, since all the other departments were asked to cut their funding, to go back and do the 10,000, especially since we know we already have the 2,500 from the vacation time. So we'd really only have, a few dollars left, basically. And then if we can get the other 10 from the town, from that little pool of money, in addition to any type of fundraising that we could do. And that should bring us back to where we were with the original budget to begin with.
Erin Matlin, Library Director, how does the board, so I guess I'm looking for a consensus from the board or a vote, how you want me to move forward. The only thing is I think there was some support to the 2 warrant articles. If that cannot be done, which I haven't heard from Justin yet, do we want to give approval that if that can't be done, because otherwise we'd have to meet again before the meeting, and which we can. But does the board want to make a decision where if we can't split the warrant articles, could we decide on, and okay, Justin, if we can't do this, the board has approved this, the second option related to that. Does the board want to entertain that discussion? If we can't split it, what would the board like to see going forward with that warrant article?
Donna?
I just had 2 comments based on discussion. The first being regarding fundraising. I mean, personally, I just find it an inappropriate ask from the town if they're not also expecting that of other departments to fundraise for their operating expenses. That's a tough one. So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that if the board brings anything to warrant, there is the risk. So on the last time we brought something to warrant, town council, the budget committee, and the board of trustees are shown on the ballot as whether they recommend. So they can still decide not to recommend whatever you bring to warrant. And that's going to show to the public. So just wanted to bring that up too.
We have to do our job.
Yeah.
Get out there and...
Yep. So I would like to recommend that we do not cut the budget, and that we do the 2 different warrant articles, and if we can't do that, that we do the 1. And
One meaning part-time or full-time?
The 1, choose 1.
Okay.
You choose 1. How's that?
I want the board to. I need the board to decide. I will not be choosing.
Get elected before the full-time.
Okay, so maybe to go with the part-time one.
Yeah.
But if we can't do the 2, I think the 2 is the responsible way to do it, because it does give the public the chance to vote on it.
Kim Beers, our original warrant was for a full-time.
Right.
So I think we should really stick with the full-time. That's just my thought. Moira?
Maybe it would not be a bad idea to entertain another meeting before that if we can't do the 2.
That meeting would have to be before the warrant article deadline.
Before the 12th, yeah. Well.
Not the 12/16, but
No,
before
the
the
warrant
warrant article
deadline.
deadline. Because as we could always, as individuals, put forward a warrant article as well, and a citizen petition. So, I mean, we could happen that way, but you have to do it still before the warrant article deadline in January. But I don't know, that's my feeling.
Anybody else? Anybody want to give a suggestion?
I think. Sorry.
Jay?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep our budget the way it is, and that we ask for, or we tell them that we would like to put in 2 separate warrant articles, one for the full-time and one for the part-time, that would cancel each other out depending upon which one got approved. Okay, separated out, okay.
Yeah, because I think we had 2 separate votes last.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll just deal with the money. I think we need to keep the budget the same because we went through the budget already, and by RSA standards, we have done the job that we're supposed to do. That's what I would like to.
I'd like to second that, Liz Thomas.
I just have something I think needs to be considered as part of discussion. I think this needs to be
Yes.
before you vote.
You're right. I should have. Okay, my fault. So before you vote, I did get an email from a budget committee member who I invited to the meeting to discuss. I think I forwarded it on to you guys to discuss any questions. And I did not hear back whether she was able to come, and she's not here. So, but I did mention that I would read this email at the meeting. So that there can be discussion, and this might change people's thoughts or processes. So this came from Sarah Meyer. She is on the budget committee, and she had some areas of improvement that she felt that the library could do. And I'm just looking for the exact. Okay, so this email was sent to me on Thursday, November 21st. And she had mentioned at one of the budget workshops that she had some areas of improvement that she would like to share with me. And I did ask for those areas, and this is the email that she sent back. It said, "Good morning, Erin. So here are some areas of improvement. Salaries, as I had mentioned before, they make up 80% of your budget. This is only normal for a department that offers no tangibles, like finance or town manager or legal, etc. But the library has actual tangible items, furniture and digital offerings, etc. As the BC, which I'm assuming is the budget committee, mentioned in the previous email, the percentages of your raises are also an area that needs improvement. It can be argued that it is unfair for the library to offer better raises than the rest of the town. It would be humble and a positive effort for the library to decrease these significant raises each year." Second bullet point. There's been an overspending in books and periodicals by at least $60,000 each year since 2022. Let's work on resizing this to the appropriate amount. Third bullet point. I haven't seen any grants come forward. Grants are a great way to get what you want for the library. That isn't directly from the taxpayers. If you get grants, I'm all for whatever you choose to spend it on. Next bullet point. The fundraising has been pretty dismal. Many efforts were shot down. This doesn't reflect well for the library, as the taxpayers do notice. Next bullet point. From your meeting minutes and videos, I've heard many times that the goal for the library has been to raise the budget. That's not in your best interest, nor Londonderry's. It makes the library seem like they are unable to control their spending and, quite frankly, greedy. The library's goal should not be to raise the budget. The library's goal as a responsible part of the community is to see how they can operate and save the community money while providing services. The library could be a champion of the taxpayers if the goal would be to serve Londonderry in the best cost-effective way possible instead of raising the budget. And final bullet point. Donations of supplies have also been denied for one reason or another, which the explanations have been confusing and at times conflicting. And then she also mentioned that there were unnecessary spending items, and her comment to this was, the unnecessary spending items I will tell you in person, as I do not want them in writing. She goes on to say, this is not personal, this has just been my observation. Also, I know I came to a library trustee meeting to offer my time if you need any help in budgeting. I truly mean this. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help the Londonderry in my own budget capacity, and I know you are too. Thanks for all you do. Best, Sarah Meyer. So I did forward that email on to the board, and I did have some, I'm happy to respond to some of the things that she mentioned, or if the board if the board wants to respond to any of them, that's fine too. But just to clarify things, if that's okay with the chair?
Absolutely.
Okay. So regarding the salary statement, we did, so our salaries, she mentioned that they make up 80% of our budget, which is approximately true. I did reach out to other GMELCS libraries, and we're actually, Hudson also has the same percentage of salaries, and Salem has 78, and then there were a couple other libraries that ranged between 70 and 75. So I feel like we're kind of on the target there. When we talk about tangible, she mentioned tangibles. We have
no vehicles, we have no major equipment. We also do staff training. Our staff training isn't required by law. And if we remove those items from, let's say, police and fire, then that salary may look a little different if you were to remove those items from them. And with our tangibles have no value unless we're here to give them out.
And the library.
And the library's open. She mentioned about the overspending in books and periodicals, excuse me, and that we did, and to speak of resizing that, that was the point with this budget, adding that $10,000 was to get that to a good place. So I feel like we are trying to do that with this FY20. Actually, we did try to do it in FY25, and we're trying to do it again. And that's more of a reflection, like I had mentioned, in the increase of cost of those items, all those DVDs, books, everything that goes up. Do we want to just go each bullet point and have conversation, or do we want me to continue? Anybody want a discussion? Okay. So as far as the grants, we actually have done 2 grants. Recently there was a grant called Eduporium was awarded to the library it was an educational technology grant. That was for $500. And in June in 2022, which was a year after I started, we did receive a grant that I applied for from the Charitable Foundation for the handicapped accessible doors and the talk box, and that was about $9,500. The challenges with grants is that it takes staff time to not only apply, but also to keep to manage that grant. And in just my recent looking of grants right now, we're not eligible for a lot because a lot of them target underserved population or specific projects. So we don't have like a specific project. If it's to supplement our budget, we can't do that. So that does create a challenge. And I might be off in saying this, but Londonderry does almost too well to apply for a grant. Which is frustrating, I agree. And also if the board decided that they wanted to have a consultant to apply for those grants, that would also money be coming from salaries to pay for that consultant. So there is some challenges there. Not to say that we won't apply for grants. We do look, and we look for opportunities, but they're not always available. And it's frustrating for us as well, to be honest.
Can I comment on that?
Of course.
Didn't we discuss at one meeting that the town had a grant writer that, I forget who said that they would look into it to see what they could do for the library?
I believe they do have a grant writer, and I believe that it does cost the town, like they are on the town payroll, but I can look into that more, certainly. But even if we're grant writer, we still need a grant to apply to.
Right.
So, it would save that money, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I remember that it was discussed before, so I guess, it wasn't brought back up a second time, and now that you mentioned it, it just jogged my memory.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So as far as fundraising, I'm not sure what efforts she was referring to being shot down. I was hoping I could ask that question. So I'm not sure what efforts, but when it comes to fundraising, the Friends really are the ones that should be doing the fundraising. They do some fundraising, and I think they are working on getting that group much more active. But we have received in the past year, actually since January, over $10,000 that went to the trustees' account related to donations. They were private donations. There was, I believe, Hannaford, which is a program that I signed us up for, brought in over $300 in donations of us doing nothing. They just pick us sometimes, which is great. And we've also got donations that are non-monetary, gift cards for summer reading and things like that. So we do look for opportunities for those donations, or we ask. I'm not ashamed to go and ask any restaurant for a gift card. And to be honest, the Friends helped pay for part of our onboarding costs of our G-Milk. So, and we did that with fundraising. They did a fundraiser for that. And I also sent letters to businesses and I believe doctors' offices to receive more donations. I believe we did receive one from a dentist office. So we do try to get out there and look for that. I'm just not sure which ones were shot down, and if anybody knows, I'm happy to listen. excuse me, she mentioned about how the goal for the library is to raise the budget, and that our goal should not be to raise the budget. I could be wrong, but I don't believe I've ever said that the goal for the library is to raise the budget. I believe oftentimes my ask is to support the mission, and the mission is to provide materials, information, and services for the community residents of all ages to meet their personal, educational, and recreational needs. And in order to do this, we need money. And I would love to be able to come one year and say, we don't need any money, and let's put the budget forward. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So we do need to ask for funding in our budget to accommodate those needs. And I don't think our goal is to raise the budget. I think our goal is to really support that mission, and to move forward with that.
I
Of
don't
course.
consider it raising the budget anyway. I consider it bringing it back to where it was after it's been cut so many times.
Yeah, and meeting the needs of our community, and such of that nature. So as far as donations of supplies, she mentioned that they've been denied. I'm not sure what she's speaking to, so unfortunately I'm not sure how to speak to this. If it's donations, we have a policies in place regarding donations. I think it's, I don't know if it's like books or what the reference is to, so, but we have received, as I mentioned, quite a few donations from local community members and obviously businesses. So I wish I could answer that more. And as far as the unnecessary spending items, I have not heard from her what those are as of today. So I just wanted to address that email because I know I sent it to the board, so I just wanted to do that. But and it was brought up at a budget workshop, so I just wanted to make sure that that was on record and that the board knew, and I was able to respond to it. So with that said, I don't know how the board wants to move forward with the motion on the table or the budget.
Jan McLaughlin, I would like to reiterate the motion from before, that I would like us to resubmit the budget as we have submitted without the $20,000 reduction. And that's that.
Well, was seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I had a quick question. Didn't you also in this have the warrant?
No, we're going to do that separately.
Oh,
We're going to do it separate because we
Okay.
did it separate the last meeting.
Yeah, I would, I support that, definitely. Yeah, second.
Okay, roll call vote.
I, Nancy Hendricks.
Aye, Kim Beers.
Nay for me, I prefer the 10,000 option.
I wish we'd done the other one first, because that's easier.
Right, it is.
I think we should show something. I think we should cut something. I don't know if we're going to do the full 10. I'm going to say nay. I think we should do something, just because of the tenor of the meeting.
Jan McLaughlin, yay.
Liz Thomas, yay.
Erin Matlin, Library Director. So with that said, who would like to go to the budget workshop and speak to that?
We'll be there.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. Jan and Nancy, thank you. I mean, I will be there, but I do think this motion needs to be said by a board member.
I agree.
And I appreciate that. So then the warrant article is the next one. Yep.
Jan?
I'd like to make a motion that we present 2 warrant articles to the town, one for a full-time children's librarian and one for a part-time children's librarian that would have a cancel-out feature, so that, well, it would be nice if we could get both, but hey. Anyway, so they'd have a cancel-out feature. And if that's not possible, I'd like us to go for the full-time one because that is what we really need. So that's it.
I second the motion.
Roll call vote.
I, Nancy Hendricks.
Aye, Kim Beers.
Can you just clarify, so we're doing the 2, and if
If we can't do the 2,
we'll do
a
the one
full-time.
part, one
We'll do the
full-time?
full-time.
Okay. I, Christine Fitzgerald.
I'm Maura Ryan.
I, Jan McLaughlin.
I, Liz Thomas.
Okay. Oh, that was heavy. Okay. So we already did the meeting recording. Oh, Erin Mallon, sorry. Yeah, so we can go on to the.
New business, acceptance of unanticipated funds.
Erin Mountain Library Director. So we had a donation of from the Friends. They sponsored a program. I believe it's going to be the Bell Ringer program. That's going to be happening on 12/12, which was very popular last year. They're sponsoring that program and paying the performer directly $400. And then they also are giving $45 to us to pay for refreshments, and that'll be like hot cocoa and things like that. The Friends are also doing a bake sale at that program to do some fundraising. So I know it was really popular last year. I encourage everybody to come. So we just need a vote to accept those donations. It's for $445 total.
I, Nancy Hendricks, second.
Did you vote for it too?
Oh, yes. Well, I wanted to make it clear that I seconded her motion. So I, Nancy Hendricks. Okay.
I, Christine Fitzgerald.
I'm Maura Ryan.
I, Jan McLaughlin.
I, Liz Thomas.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on to trustee bylaws subcommittee. Fun. But this needs to be done, boy, this needs to be done.
Yeah, sure does.
And Kim Bears, sorry. I went online and pulled bylaws also. And theirs are even
Worse?
No, it's not worse. From Derry Public Library, because they're very similar to us in a lot of ways, and we collaborate with them. And, but just as a jumping block, is that something that, did I not put that on? Because I just put that on as an attachment.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't get that.
Maybe we can do it at the end, but the first thing I guess we need to do is find out who wants to be on the subcommittee.
Well, I just want to make a statement. So the bylaw, Erin Mountain Library Director, we do not have an electronic copy of. So if anything will have, if you wanted to
I'll type
work, I was going to say, if you want to work from this document,
Seriously?
it would have to be retyped.
God bless you. I know.
So I just wanted to point that out.
7 pages.
I mean, I retyped the personnel policy, and that was a lot. That was pretty hefty. But, so I just wanted to make note of that. And that's all from me.
And Christine Fitzgerald, I'd like to be on the subcommittee, please.
I would also. I, Nancy Hendricks, I would too.
I would too.
Jan?
Yeah. I have to post these meetings.
Moira?
I promise not to move.
Nancy?
Yes, yeah.
So with that, whoever creates the agenda for that, you can send it to me, and I will be happy to post at the library, and Donna can post it on the website. And then we just would also need minutes to be sure to be taken at those meetings so that we can also post those. So, Donna has something to say.
If it happens before the meeting recording equipment is set up, it also needs to be recorded, like audio recorded.
Yes.
Or just do that to me.
And if you plan to use this room, we need to figure out if the room's available too.
Okay, so what are you guys thinking? Do you want to do after the holidays, or do you want to,
Oh, yeah, after.
After the new year?
first of the year, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's flexible. I'm flexible too, but I think we'll need at least a couple weeks to go through and make our own comments
Sure.
on the document before we meet anyway, so it's up to how much
Jan
time you guys
McLaughlin,
think you need.
I was wondering if we should think about maybe doing like a Google Docs of this. I don't know if anybody uses Google Docs, but it's a good way to collaborate on a document especially if you're trying to make modifications, because it tracks everybody's thoughts, and we can make it so that it doesn't change the document instantly, but it says, oh, Jan thinks this part should be changed, and Nancy thinks this part should be changed. Just a thought that might be a good way to do it, versus us all doing paper copies that we're marking up with highlighters and then doing paper copies that we're gonna,
You can still do the revision tracking in Word itself too, so it doesn't matter to me, but that's just another option. You could do it in Word if no one wants to do the Google Docs.
I'm good with either. I use both platforms, so it doesn't matter.
I don't even bother carrying Word anymore.
Show off.
So, yeah, I guess we don't need to decide that right now anyway, so.
So just keep me posted on meeting option dates so that we can check the calendar. And then... what?
Okay. Nice. All right, so trustee attendance, reporting on library events.
This is not me.
This is not me.
What?
This was on the agenda when I received it. This is
I
not
wonder
me.
if it,
Oh, was it Helen?
I wonder if it was him.
Nobody else put it on? No. Do we want to move that to the next meeting?
Yes, let's move that to the next meeting. And, yeah, does anybody want to?
Yes. Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we table the trustee attendance and reporting on library events to the January 8th meeting, 2025.
Thanks, roll call vote.
I'm Nancy Hendricks.
I, Kim Ayers.
I'm Maura Rain.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
Hi, Liz Thomas.
Okay. So, the next on the list is library director job description and director evaluation template. We've been talking for a while about changing these because they are very bad. Archaic. A little archaic. Do not really reflect what happens in this day and age in the library.
So, Christine Fitzgerald, one thing that I couldn't find, and Erin didn't have it, was when we do the reviews, wasn't there an additional page that said if there's so many of this number, it automatically gets to be this?
There was something.
I thought that was but that wasn't in the personnel policy?
No, it was on, I believe it was a separate document to the evaluation sheet.
Yes, I do remember.
And I don't have a copy of it.
And I don't know, and I didn't know what, I don't think I know what, unless
I know Helen had it because she clarified a question or a comment that was made. And like I said, I don't have that. I know it exists, but I don't have it. I don't know.
I don't know what it looks like.
I vaguely.
I mean, probably once I see it, I'll go, oh.
Was that emailed to us?
I don't think so.
I don't think so because
Donna's right there.
Oh, too bad.
Oh, Donna.
I'm trying to dig out the personnel policy in my stack, but I am fairly certain there's a statement in the personnel policy that speaks to how merit, like exactly what you're saying, how the merit is decided
That's
based
what I
on the
thought you were
evaluation.
referring to.
There definitely was something with the evaluation also.
But it's in the but I think it's in the personnel policy. It speaks to the evaluation and how the merit. Oh, good. There we go. Someone has it.
I have it too.
If you go to the front, the content evaluation.
Page 7.
Oh, okay, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is.
So we can send a couple of samples of a library director job description, and also a library director evaluation. And I'm hoping you guys can take a look at them and see what you think about them. Hold on.
So just to clarify, we had the one that was like from the 90s.
Yeah.
We had the one that was from 2021. We have one that's from NHLTA. Is that, am I tracking, are those all the docs?
Yep,
that
I believe so.
Okay. I just want to double check.
Yep. And, oh, Donna, sorry.
That's okay. Donna Plant, I just wanted to note the 2020, so I was heavily involved in the administrative stuff, helping the board during the hiring process for when Aaron was hired. The board at that point did not review and revise the actual job description. So what was shared with you, I believe, was what they posted for the opening, just so that you know.
Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to share is I did review the NHLTA samples. I just wanted to note that, and for good reason, those samples are kind of meant to apply to any size library. So it's tough because I looked through the evaluation, for example, and saw some things that for us are clearly like department head responsibilities, but in a small library where the library director is the only librarian, that would apply. So I would just ask that you really look closely at adapting it to fit the Leach library.
This is just a jumping spot.
Exactly, yeah.
For us to, get started with all of this. Again, like we're doing the, bylaws is different, but it almost needs to be a separate. Erin?
Erin Matlin, Library Director. I do hope that you look at other Library Director job postings because of that, and the one from NHLTA is, like Donna said, it covers so many different variables. But I'm happy to give input if there's things that you're not sure that I do. I'm happy to share that with you, or things that is questionable as far as how we manage things here, because every library is different. I'm happy to give input on that, and I can share the past job description I had at the other library I worked at. I mean, it was Massachusetts, different, but if you need any guidance, I'm happy to provide it.
Maybe even looking, Kim Bears, maybe even looking at the 10 libraries that Kate has already.
The similar 10 libraries.
Yes, and seeing what
point.
they have for the library.
Christine Fitzgerald, I think we should attack this like we are doing with the bylaws.
Yes.
Just have like a Google Doc,
Thank you.
and that way we can just, through email. I mean, we try to cram in so much in these meetings. I think we should have, honestly, more meetings than we have just once a month. I mean, even if it was every 3 weeks, it would be helpful. But I guess in the meantime, we could tackle this by email and just,
And we did add July and August back into the
we
schedule.
did. That's more for budget though. But yeah, these are two big things that we need to
Yes.
address. And same thing
I'm glad you feel that way.
with goals. We can do that as a Google Doc and pass that around and go from there.
How do we do that and not have a quorum and have an online meeting?
It's
You have to limit it to information.
It's like,
Sorry. You have to just limit it to information, not discussion.
Okay. But then it does become a public document, I believe.
Yeah, I
I
think
have
to
no
Google.
issue with it being a public.
I mean, I don't
it's going to be
either.
a public document one way or the other.
I just think
so-
that we have to be careful and not violate our 91As so that we're not looking like we're having a meeting online without the public knowing.
Jan?
Jan McLaughlin. I also am on the Arts Council and as a voting member, and we asked about this as far as how, we were, I can't remember who told us, but it was recommended to us that we have working groups below the size of our minimum
So like a
number.
subcommittee? Is
So
that-
a subcommittee,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And then we do not have to have, we still should take minutes of any kind of meeting.
Yeah, but you're not
we have,
voting.
But we're not voting the same
Right.
way.
Right.
That we then don't have to have, but the subcommittee can make recommendations and bring it forward to us to vote. But that was okay, because we have, various things that go on with the Art Council. And so by doing that, it was able to then divide some of that work that could happen outside of meeting, because it's not violating the public access, it's just having this small group of people go through stuff and then make
Update the document
recommendations.
that will be
Right.
presented at a
Because it does still
public
need to
meeting.
get presented
Yes.
before the whole committee in public, so public can make comment.
Right. Yep.
Well, then whoever it is, excuse me,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
anybody that I, Nancy Hendricks, circulates this document, I think that we all have to be mindful that we, to your point, we cannot comment on anybody else's comments, like, geez, Christine, I'm not sure I agree with that, I would prefer to do this. or
You're just
some-
putting in your own.
Right.
Oh, okay,
Exactly.
gotcha.
There can't be any commentary at all. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Because once you get into commentary, then we run into problems.
Exactly.
Okay, so it prohibits collaboration, Google Docs, whoever said that was. I was like, yeah, you can't do that, not in this format.
Kim.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donna.
It's okay. Donna Plant.
Keep up with my notes.
I just wanted to note that the trustee bylaws subcommittee that you just created has a quorum because you have
Yeah.
4
That's why I
members.
said we need to
So
post
that subcommittee does. I think the working document
Yeah.
situation is a little tough because you have a quorum with that group. And if you were to create a subcommittee to look at the job description and evaluation, that you could do it with 2 or 3, I don't know. Instead.
So basically, if someone jumps ship from the bylaws and
Yeah, I think, from what I understand, Aaron Mellon, that I think the subcommittees have to have 2 or obviously less than 4 members from the trustees
Okay.
on it if you're going to create a working document that's going to.
Okay.
I'll happily
And that way you avoid the.
decline. I'll back off the bylaws.
Okay, so you want to...
I'll switch to the library
Okay.
evaluation.
I can do the job description and
Okay.
stuff as well.
I'll do both as well.
I can do bylaws. I don't want to create too many people.
Oh, you were already there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Keep writing here.
So the job description is myself, Jan, and Maura, is that correct?
That's what I have written
Yes.
down.
And then for the bylaws, it's myself, Maura, and Nancy. Okay.
And
I can get the initial document going for this one as well, too.
Okay.
Oh, well, for both, I'll do one for goals and one for the job description.
Okay. I would be happy to contact those 10 libraries and see if they could email you guys the sample job, their job description, and if they have an evaluation of that also.
Okay.
And we will see it all before it's all done, so we can make comments. Donna?
Donna Plant, I just wanted to ask if you're actually holding a meeting, do you have any expectation of a staff member attending? Do you want a staff member there?
I don't think we need to, not
Not for
for job description.
Not for
That's up to
bylaws.
us. The bylaws and
Yep.
the job description is I feel, all up to the trustees.
I don't have to have a staff.
Fine.
Okay.
We just need to adjust schedules.
Yep.
But that's fine.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep, I am.
Yeah, okay. I'll vote on that.
Oh, and then in addition to the job description, the goals, and we also need the review sheet.
The evaluation, yeah.
Yes.
The goals for Erin?
Yes.
That's January, that's a separate thing. That's-
Right, I know, but I'm just saying we should get
Oh.
that going now because
Okay.
we're already in
Got it.
December, so.
Okay, so, and Erin, you talked at a meeting earlier about you coming up with some goals for yourself for the
I can certainly do that.
awesome
And bring it to the January meeting?
January meeting.
Or, okay, yep. I can do that.
But I think the trustees should have their own set of goals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If they want to bring something, sure. All right. We good with? All right, and then we have discussion of purchasing policy, I believe. Where? Is that you?
Yeah, essentially, I'm Laura Ryan. Essentially, we don't have a purchasing policy, and I felt like we should put something in place, even if it was just the town purchasing policy. And I know we distributed a copy of the town purchasing policy. The only issue I have with it is that it's not really to scale for the library budget, and that's something that needs to be considered. So I do think it's something we need to work on, though. We should have something in place.
So, do you want to come back up, Jan?
Jan McLaughlin, I would like to recommend that the bylaws committee morph into a bylaws and document review committee, so that the bylaws is just one of the things that, because the policies, we have to renew policies, and we've been revising them as we've been going along, but it would make sense the bylaws and the policies kind of dovetail together in a lot of ways, so I would like to see them.
I would personally ask, if you're willing to review something that comes from us first, I would love to take a crack at adapting the town purchasing policy for the library, and then if you want it to go to a subcommittee to look at after that first, that's fine. But I feel like I have a lot of knowledge in how we're currently doing things, and if you want it to just reflect what we're doing now, and of course, if you could change that easily, the subcommittee could decide, I don't really like that process, let's do something different. But you could at least start with what we're doing now.
Could you have a subcommittee for that?
Christine Fitzgerald, would you be able to, I'd like to see what your changes would be to the existing town purchasing policy in a red line of, track changes to see what changes you would make to the towns.
Sure.
Because I think we should stick to the towns like we're trying to do for some of our other things, just so there's consistency, exactly.
Well, I was going to say, if we wanted to, and we could have discussion on this, we could adopt the towns for the time being and then work on changing. We shouldn't have nothing. I'm open to discussion on that. I do think,
How long, Donna, do you think that would take?
I could probably do it for January. I worry about just quickly adopting the towns, because looking at it, I don't think a lot of it fits the library. So it wouldn't make sense.
How much purchasing are we going to be doing? Nancy Hendricks, I'm sorry. Purchasing are we going to be doing between now and January the 8th anyway? So I would be okay with, you taking a crack at it, and then we'll take a look at it. And that's just my opinion.
Christine Fitzgerald, I like the idea of adopting the towns now, since we're trying to mirror that anyway, and then for the January meeting, just see where the changes are.
I just feel like adopting the towns now is going to force us to make changes now, whereas me bringing a purchasing policy that reflects what we're already doing is not going to force us to make a change for a month. So, yeah, that's my thought.
It's a month away, so we should host a vote
I think we'll need a motion.
Liz Thomas, I think that a purchasing, it's good to look at the town, but I don't think that it can, you're comparing apples to apples, because in your purchasing, you're doing a lot of, our resources are all being purchased and stuff. We're not just supplying an office supply environment type of thing. It's the resources that we're purchasing, which is even the biggest the biggest amount of money that we're spending. So I think that it makes sense to look at it but to really, not just jump in right away and say, well, we'll do this. And then a month later say, oh, that was a mistake. I think, it warrants the month to look at to see if it makes sense.
Okay. Motion?
Well,
So do you want to make a motion?
if we're just getting information ready for January, I don't know that we have to make a motion.
Well,
It's on the agenda under new business, it needs a vote.
Yeah.
So if you want, the motion can just simply be just to move it to the February or January meeting.
With the following preparation.
Right. Okay, I can say, I make a motion that we we retain the discussion of purchasing policy to the January meeting pending further information or development of a policy for said meeting.
I would second that.
Well, we're not going to have a policy developed by that meeting.
For development.
Donna said she would have a revision on
That
this
sounded
for
like you were going to
January.
be ready to vote that night. I don't know that we will be.
No, just a revision.
Okay, all right.
roll call?
I, Nancy Hendricks.
I Christine Starr.
I'm Maura Ryan.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
Hi, Liz Thomas.
Does anybody have any other business? Jan?
Okay, I know it's getting late. I'm feeling that too. Looking over the budget performance report that was included tonight, I want to just make note that there are 6 categories where we are exceeding the amount used. Not 8 that we've exceeded. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that we've exceeded 100% or more of the budget that's already in place. And there are 1, 2, 3 that we have 80% or more. So just, we are a bottom line budget, and I understand that. So areas that we have a problem in as far as the paperwork is tuition reimbursements, we're at 105%. Workers' comp benefits, we're at 100%. So stop doing bad things to the workers, I guess. The water services, we're at 80%. Dues and subs services, we're at subscriptions, yes. I guess we're not having substitutes, right? That's at 110%, 118% for postage and supplies, and 95% for books and periodicals supplies. So, when we're looking at this, we need to realize that, we already have some areas that are of issue, and some of those are the same areas that are part of, take money out of or whatever. So I just wanted to make you aware that that's an area that we need to keep track of, and we may need to think about moving some money from one line to another line so that the funds are there for the use of.
Thank you, Jan, for putting that out in yours. Okay. Oh, sorry, Moira.
Just a quick question. As far as the trustee accounts go, what sources of revenue do we have for those?
We have.
Jan's our treasurer.
There you go.
So the one account that's the trustees account is an account that money from the book sales goes to, and money from customer copies happens, and any donations of like donations for a program, they would come to us because we usually end up writing the check for the program. That's what goes into that account.
Sorry, when you said customer copies, what is that?
There's a fee that people get charged for making copies. Using the copier. But it's not as high as the library. As the town's cost, because they're like $1 a page. but maybe we need to increase that. But anyway, so that's my understanding is that's where that money comes from. And then the other money comes from, the other account is the book account, and the money comes from the budget. It goes into the book account twice a year, and it's so that we can purchase things with a credit card to get them quicker than going through the whole process of, so that's the way it's been done in the past. So that's my understanding. And when we've been taking money out of an account to pay, like for G-Milks or to pay for the picnic table, it comes out of the first account, the account where the book sales, the trustee account, the actual trustee account.
Donna?
So the quarterly treasurer's report will show you exactly what money goes into each account. Trustees account gets the interest from the account, book sales, private donations that you're accepting at the board meetings. If there's any grant funding, it will go in that account as well. The book account gets the town's allotments from the book line of the budget. It gets, if the trustees vote to add any money to it during the year, like if we came to you and said we don't have enough money for the rest of the year, will you consider a certain amount to add? That would be from the trustees account. It gets interest for that account. The fine money goes into that account. Lost and paid materials go into that account. The copies go actually into that account. We also sell earbuds and USB drives at the main desk, and any money from that goes into that account.
Thank you, Donna.
Yep.
Oh, Moira.
And one more follow-up thing, and this is just in case. So if you go to the budget committee meeting on December 16th and they say you absolutely must cut something, one of the things I think we should also consider is we do know that we have trust accounts that we have to get paperwork for. We may want to consider trying to take one of the trust accounts and liquidating a portion of it and putting it towards the budget so that we could make a cut. I think that's another option.
Oh, Erin, sorry.
That's okay. Erin Matlin. So I wanted to follow up on the trust accounts. So it came to my knowledge that we have 3 trust accounts with the town. I've reached out to the Department of Justice to try to get more information on those accounts. Unfortunately, I had to file a 91A and then there was an extension on that. But I only got one account where it clearly says how we can spend it. The other 2 I don't have any information on. So I was going to, either a board member can do this, or if the board would prefer I to do that, reach out to the trustees of the trust fund and try to find out if they can get information for me, or if they are aware of information regarding those accounts.
I already asked, no.
I'm sorry?
I already asked Jonathan, they don't have any stuff.
So at that point, I'm not sure how the board would like to move forward, because there are, according to the documents that they sent me, it looks like there's money coming out of those accounts. It's not a lot, but I don't know where that money's going, because I'm not asking for it, and you guys aren't asking for it. So
Where's
if
it
the
going?
town's taking it, it belongs to the board, or the library, rather. So I don't know how the board would like to move forward in trying to figure this out. Donna, go ahead.
I went digging as well and looked back in former annual reports to see where, to find the money. And there was a point in time, I don't have the year in front of me, but I could find it again. There's an exact year where it's the last payment that the Board of Trustees received of the interest of those trust funds. And every year after that, the Board of Trustees on their report did not accept any trust fund interest. So I would say from that year going forward, the board is owed the interest from those accounts.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone somewhere.
It's gone somewhere.
Liz Thomas, obviously it's diverted in some way, and we need to find out where we're going.
So, I mean, this is a project because we have to reach out to.
Right. I'll take it.
I mean, I'm happy to hand over this.
Yes.
If you want, you could take a look at it. I tried to make sense of it.
That's a 91A request, right? And it's only one account?
This was, no, I asked for all information related to all 3 accounts. And this is what I was sent. But a lot of this is town trust funds. And some of it does nothing to do with us, but we're listed in there.
Did you have to pay for that?
No, I did not. No, I did not. But, so I have the email from her as well that has information. So I'm happy to hand that over to you.
Yep.
Thank you. And if you need me to help in any other way, I can try. I felt like I was at a kind of dead end at that point. So that might be an option, as you mentioned, for the future, yeah, if we can figure it all.
I will try to go back in my annual report and find the year to tell you where I left off.
Okay. So that's it. I think.
Other business? Okay, yes. Call on up, Richard.
Yep. First of all, don't start your clock yet. Your trust funds, that money is not missing. I spoke months ago to Justin on it, at least on two of them.
Okay.
He can tell you how much is in the trust account and how much is spendable. I think one has like $3,500, of which $1,800 or something is spendable, and I think the other one's like half of that.
Okay.
I got the exact numbers at home. I don't have them with me.
I just wanted to respond that the trustees of the trust fund reports each year, they show that money was withdrawn from them.
Well, Justin
what
told me no.
That's
Well, that's what I think that's where our confusion is, clearly.
I'll go by the accountant.
Yeah.
So, all right, you can start if you want your little clock.
Thank you for that.
All right, first of all, the travel account, do you want to do that home delivery thing? Be careful with that. I don't have anything against it.
The liability, is that
The
what you're
liability,
Yes.
if they're using their personal cars,
Yep.
it's for business, their insurance is not going to cover them.
Yep.
I was in that business.
So that came up at the workshop. I believe Ron Paul brought it up,
Okay.
and so nothing, we would certainly explore anything before anything went forward, and I did bring up a second option of mailing. Another library does actually mail delivery, so that's something we maybe do to
Yeah, that's
remove
fine.
that.
Okay.
So
That was
yes.
actually more my thought, Richard, because that's what they do in Bedford.
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't want that you guys end up with a big lawsuit if somebody gets...
Oh, agreed,
I never
agreed,
even
yeah.
gave that a thought.
Okay. The other thing I want to know, I still want to know what the position is you're hiring that you went into non-public for.
Can we speak to what we spoke about in non-public?
I don't know what you spoke about. All I know is you went in under the premise of a 91A that you were
I'm
hiring
happy to
somebody.
speak to it because it's not happening, but if the board is okay with me speaking of what was spoken about in non-public, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Sorry.
When we go into non-public under personnel, do we have to disclose that?
Yeah, well, you can go into non-public like you did under whatever it is, 3-2A or whatever it was, as long as that's what you're going into. You don't have to say who. You could say what the position is, but obviously you can't say who you're talking about.
Right.
It was
No, right.
But it has to be about a person. I mean, I'm only going by what you use for,
It was for the children's librarian position. Children's
Okay.
librarian position.
that you don't have a candidate for.
No, when we're going to do a
All
warrant
right,
for it.
so you went into non-public, that was an illegal non-public, because you didn't have the position can be talked about in
Well-
public. If you had a candidate and you wanted to talk about the candidate,
We
that's
didn't have a
different.
candidate, we had an exploratory option of what that position could look like.
And that's fine, that has to be done in public. You don't
But
have a
if-
person, non-public is to protect somebody's identity or their reputation, or if you're gonna fire somebody, you can look through it, it's in the packet I gave you, which you'll all get, and I'll include you on it, Aaron.
Okay, thank you.
You just can't go in if it's not about an actual person.
It was about a contract negotiation that could not be made public because of contract negotiation.
Did you have a person to that contract?
No.
Then you can be made public. I called up and got the town manager's contracts the next day. It's a public contract.
Okay.
Position for hire, other towns. Oh, and one more thing, Erin. You mentioned that your department heads fill out like raise forms, evaluations for the merit,
Yep, they
and
do.
then you sign them and put them into payroll.
Yes.
You can't do that by your own bylaws and by state law. I think your policy, your personnel policy says something different. I can read it right here, I've got them. The only person that can give increases is this board. In consultation with you. You cannot do it on your own. You can't hire anyone, you can't fire anyone. That's by, I'm telling you, I have it. I got the state law right here.
Okay.
In your
I believe you.
bylaws.
Past practice has done differently.
It may have been done that way, but it was done illegally. And this is where I'm trying to help you guys get on track.
I
You should
appreciate.
know this. I just got involved 2 months ago when I read the bylaws. So if you go in there, that's exactly what it
Would
says.
you mind sharing that with me so
Sure.
that I can make sure that that's
Absolutely.
correctly going forward? Yep.
I
thank
think
you.
your personnel policy might say something different, but state law and your bylaws mirror each other.
Okay.
And that's what you got to go by, at least at this point. I got a ton more. The other one you might want to look at in your bylaws is how you're doing the minutes of your meeting. You can't, the way they're set up right now, you can't hire an outside person. State law states who has to be, and your bylaws state who has to be. I know, but that doesn't mean you can do it wrong at the present time, so.
But we were advised by the attorney.
Yeah, but was he told you have bylaws that say otherwise? If you just say a lot to an attorney, can I do this? And you don't say, but by the way, it's contrary to our bylaws, they'll give you a different answer.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment?
Megan Donovan. Just a clarification, and I apologize, I can't remember exactly when, but the trustees vested the power in the library director to make all decisions many years ago. It's in the trustee minutes, and I don't remember when, but it a while back, but historically, all reviews were presented to the trustees, and the trustees would approve or not when they went into non-public minutes, non-public session. At one point, the trustees at that time did make a decision to vest that power into the library director. I would be happy to look through that, but it is in the trustee minutes, and it was a long time ago, and I believe it's prior to when it was the archival copies of minutes online, so I think it was pre-2008, so it has been a while. I feel like it was when I just started, so I don't remember exactly. But there is documentation out there that the trustees did make that decision. I just wanted to let you know.
Thanks, Megan.
But minutes will not take place of your bylaws.
Correct.
And also it won't take
Bylaws
place
are
in
what
state.
rule regardless of what the minutes say.
Right. And the state.
Yeah, so we'll have
And the
to-
state law,
We'll have to
which mirrors
clarify.
your bylaws.
Well, that's good to know, so we can
Thank
make
you.
changes back.
Glenn Douglas, 6 Overlook Ave. I think I've been to 3 of these meetings. A little bit about me. 18 years ago, I started a website that kind of follows town stuff. One of the reasons I did it is because I realized that back then, there was no video cameras. If you wanted to go to a meeting, you pretty much had to sit at the meeting. No one had a clue. No one showed up. So I started a website, and I went to hundreds of meetings. Over the last 18 years, I've probably been to more town council meetings than the majority of our sitting town councilors, and more school board meetings than the majority of our school board. This part is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it that way, but there is, or appears to be, a significant misunderstanding of the way the budget process works, what you can do, what you can't do, and those have serious implications on what you could or should do. The way it used to be referred to is, we have the school board. Nancy was on the school board for 8, 12 years or whatever. We have the town council. Way back, what we used to do is school board, town council, and budget committee got together, had one big meeting. This is what we want, or, she was on the school board. This is what Nancy's school board wants. No one from the town council here. This is what the town council wants. Budget committee over here. They buck heads, kick, and this is what we think we should do for the best of the town. Library and I've got involved with that. They never got invited. Here's the issue. You have the school board. They come up with a budget. Right now, they are at 0.04% below default. The town council, and this year's budget season has been a total disaster. I don't even understand it. I've been to hundreds of these meetings. Last I heard, 17.5% to 25% over default. Massive tax increase. What happens is your budget, even though you're not a department, you're a separate form of government, your budget is looped into theirs. So if the school board wins, everyone says, like your budget, you're good. If the town council comes in at 17.5%, 25%, and everyone says, no way, too expensive, your budget gets sunk back to default. What I would suggest, and it's too late for this year, next year, have Justin come in. He's excellent with the way this works. He's a great guy. He actually answered an email an hour ago that I sent yesterday. Have him come in, ask the questions, what we can do, what we can't do. You have liaisons, town council liaison. Don't see him here. Ted Combs, don't know if he's ever shown up to a meeting. Don't know. He's the person that should be answering, this is the way I think the council's going. Budget committee liaison, same thing. I don't know who it is, might not be here. I don't know if they've ever shown up. Those people should be here and available to you so you can say, where's the budget committee thinking? Maybe next year, and I'm not trying to yell at you guys, I'm trying to be more educational, but maybe next year you want to have a meeting with the budget committee, you guys, say, this is what we want to do. And possibly with the budget committee and the town council, because if their budget sinks your budget, you guys are screwed. If you come in and say, and I've been a victim of the rumor mill, probably will be again. If you guys came in, I don't know what would be a ridiculous spending thing, but if you come in and say, we're going to spend $30 million because we want gold-plated books, you sink the town budget. You both sink. You got to figure a way, not directed at you, because I think it's more on the town council side, because they're the ones that stopped having those meetings, probably 10 plus years ago. You have to work together because the voters, and I know everyone is saying, everyone wants this and they want this and this and this. That happened because the fire department chief quit. A lot of people got upset. We want this, we want this, we want this. They're going to be faced with the reality of a tax increase that we just got in December, walking into the budget and say, do I want this or I don't? So next year you might want to work with your liaisons and your council to figure out how do we both win. Because if you sit here and say, we think we should get that, I agree. But if the other side says, we think we get that, the council's the one that makes all the decisions. They're the ones that puts everything up. They've had 4 meetings. They have allowed 0 public comment. So you need to work with them. And I don't even know what your budget is. But if you work with them, everyone kind of wins. When everyone goes off into their corners and the school board fights, I mean, we've heard it multiple times. Well, 84% of your budget is from the school. Oh, so? You got a 25% increase. They have 0.04. That percentage is a heck of a lot better. So I'll stop ranting, but for some reason, this is kind of what I like.
Glenn, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So we asked Justin to come in, and he told us that we had like 4 line items in our budget that we were over for like the last 5 years. And we were like, holy cow. So we should like increase those line items. And he was like, no, because you're part of the town. We have a bottom line budget, it's okay. And I'm like, I'm not really sure we should do that, because it was when we were talking about maintenance, remember? And
This came up at the last council meeting.
illegal.
And the argument was, because I know they started talking about legal, and, well, the library should pay for their own legal, why are we paying for it? I don't exactly know how that works.
We don't
but
either.
The argument was, you're a separate government, not a department, but there's things that are common. The town of Londonderry owns this building.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily your responsibility to repair it and maintain it. Your responsibility is to put the stuff in here that works for the library. So that's a little fuzzy. And the bottom line budgets, the town has been doing this for years. You always overspend on that, but you significantly underspend on this. You never see that. And when you try to right size it, which is what the town council is now saying they want to do, people go into sticker shock. Oh, that's a huge increase. No, because we've been spending the same amount of money for 15 years, but because someone didn't want to say something that would look politically incorrect and say, this is how much we really spend, we've been taking it from here. I mean, you all know how it works. Aaron or whoever, you guys weren't on camera. The reason I came here is because I was really interested in the recording part, because that's what I do. And I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool. You have a bottom line budget. So, and it's the same thing in the town. The budget for the police department is X. Budget for the fire department is X. If the fire department runs out of money, we don't just lock up the trucks. We tell the LPD, sorry guys, you guys got to cut back. If we have a fire, we need a truck. Mm-hmm. Same thing with fire department. Same thing with maintenance. You know, if town hall gets struck by a lightning bolt, they're going to spend millions more on maintenance, and they're not going to spend on the rest of it. Right. So all I'm trying to say is, next year, pull on the resources that you have. 91A, this fuzzy stuff on 91A I heard, might want to get a review on 91A. But work with the budget committee, and if they're not here, say, we want another liaison, because they're not showing up. We have questions. I was in the Recreation Commission for 9 years, and our town council liaison, it's like, we need him here so we can ask a question.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, that's because, oh, I'll call, and then you're playing phone tag. Yeah. I called, he said this, is it. If he's here, or if you know you have something coming up, like tonight, call and say, I know you haven't been to the last couple meetings, but we really need you here because we want to talk as a group, because it just takes time, especially if you're only meeting once a month.
I really appreciate that suggestion to invite them. I mean, obviously you said it's too late this year, but to invite them next year to our meetings, because I think that maybe we could get some questions answered that we're kind of unsure about.
Like I said,
like the slush fund.
This year's been terrible, my opinion, and I'm going to tell it to everyone. Well, I already put it on my website. Budget committee had one public meeting to give public input, and the reason was, well, we're going to meet with the school and the budget committee. We're going to meet with the town council and the budget committee. Well, it's different when you can walk into a budget committee and say to the budget committee people, this is what I think you should do, when you don't have school board people there, because some people are intimidated to go to a school board meeting, and when you don't have the town council sitting there. Same reason. Oh, if I go speak at a town council meeting, they might not plow my road. And I've heard that. I spoke at a town council meeting, I didn't get my road plowed. It's like, what? I speak all the time, and they didn't plow my road either. But last storm they did. And the town manager's father lives right next to me. So I'm sure it wasn't political favorites.
They didn't plow my road either, Glenn, so I get it.
Like I said, all I'm saying is if you guys work together next year, you got a better chance of figuring out.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Who can spend what undesignated fund balance can only be used for certain stuff. And the council does control the strings on that. And they're kind of stingy on who gets UDF funds. So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Richard, I'll catch you on the next month. Laura, sorry.
I know it's budget season now, but when budget season is over, just to the public comment, I know on the tape when I watched it, Justin also said that he didn't like the way we did the line items. We don't technically have a finance department or anything like that. Right. So we should have a meeting with them. We should get that squared away. So we should make a note to invite him in, and we really should get that squared away.
He's really good about it, too. Jan,
I agree with a lot of that. The one piece that I would like us to also explore, besides things within the town, I think we need to talk with those same 10 libraries that were compared as far as size-wise, as to how their money, their budget and their money happens. Because I know before my sister passed away, she was on her library board of trustees, and it was in Temple, which is a much smaller community, much smaller building, etc. But in Temple, the library owns the library building, and their budget goes into them to begin with, and the people are not considered town employees the same way. So, it may be that that's another way we need to look at, is there another way to do this versus, gee, when we were a small town 25, 30 years ago, we did this. But now we've grown up and we can't do that way.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to respond to that, I would say that if the board ever looked at that model, there's a lot to consider because we share so many services with the town. Like the town helps us on payroll, the town helps us on IT, the plowing, which has come up. Now legal services. So there's a lot that the library doesn't have to include in their budget because the town is providing that service for us. So just note there. But I wanted to ask if the board would like, specifically for the two items that were brought up about them being possibly illegal, with Aaron signing off on merit raises and the reason for the non-public meeting, if the board is okay with Aaron consulting legal counsel for those two items.
So, I'm sorry, what was the question? Is it okay for Aaron to consult
The town's legal counsel regarding the current procedure for director signing off on merit raises and whether that non-public session from last time needs to actually be made public.
Okay. What if we had a meeting with all of us? If we had the attorney come in?
That would cost a lot of money.
Maybe so, but maybe we also need to hear it.
I think that would cost a lot of money. If legal had to come in. I don't know. I mean, I'm
Quite frankly, I'm okay with Aaron consulting with her
I
about
am
that.
also.
Or have the attorney put it in writing and then that can get forwarded.
Yeah, I can certainly ask for that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other public comment?
Madam Chair, I make the motion.
Just real quick, it really should be the board talking to the attorney. You people run the library. The board should be the one speaking with the attorney.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
I would love that.
I thought we were,
One
I'm
more.
sorry.
Sorry.
I just want to, my name is Roger Filio, and I'm at 3 Hampshire Lane, Londonderry. This is my first meeting here, and I've been around conservation, planning board and stuff like that. But as a business person, I would say if they've taken all that money out of you last year, I wouldn't be happy at all to let them take more this year because you've done your job. And a few other things. You are in a different position because you are not a part of the business of the government of Londonderry. But I was with the Historical Society, which is not owned by the government here. It's owned by the building and everything is owned by them. Every year they give them a bunch of money because it's a town landmark. But we spend a lot of money around that you should be getting here. The library is a very important part of the town. I use it a lot. I read books on my Kindle, but I have to come here to get certified or whatever it is. And it comes from Libby, which is part of you. And so you are paying for me to be able to lift a lighter book, a Kindle. Anyways, very interesting. Thank you very much. I think you're all doing a good job because you're doing a job. There's a lot of people who don't do that much.
Thank you, sir.
And you're probably as close to perfect as anybody who could run a library.
Thank you.
People say, how you doing? I say, I'm next to perfect. That's your attitude. You should have it. Thank you very much for doing all the work you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll offer to contact the attorney for those two things if you just forward me the attorney information.
Sure. Yeah. I will pass that on.
All set? Nancy, go for it.
Can we adjourn now, please? Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Roll call, please.
I, Nancy Henry.
I can do it.
Agnes St. Fitzgerald.
I'm Laura Ryan.
Hi, Jan McLaughlin.
I was Thomas.
I was going to say, did you forget your name for a second?